Let's see that. Because that's why they went out and improved that unit so that the next time they play Baltimore in a big, meaningful game, they're not going to need Terrell Bernard to punch the ball out against Mark Andrews because they're just going to force punts.
Yards per play, total yards in that game. I mean, the Bills had a fumble return that got some yardage, so that's a part of it.
How far did Von run? Like 40 yards?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Baltimore had 416 total yards. The Bills had 273.
Okay.
One thing that is forgotten about that day, perhaps, what was Josh Allen's stat line that day? Do you remember?
Against Baltimore?
Against Baltimore.
I can't imagine it was a ton. Like 200 yards and a touchdown passing.
200 yards and a touchdown passing is the guess.
That's my guess, yeah.
Okay. 127 and no touchdowns.
Wow.
127 yards against Baltimore. Well,
they were up in the whole second half.
That's right.
Yeah.
While plenty will say, you want the defense to be dominant, what I'll be looking for that day is, will the Bills' offense look like the 30 points per game offense we saw it look like so many times? Against Baltimore, they scored 27, and they were probably lucky to get 27. They got turnovers, 127 yards. All right, well, did they run the ball exceedingly well in that game? Not really. Not really. James Cook had 67 yards on 17 carries. Against Baltimore, they were, I think, a little, like you said, a little fortunate to get out of it. But whatever. Once you're the playoffs, it's very much, who cares who got lucky? Did you win? You don't want to say, well, we were the better team but lost. You'd rather be the worst team and win 100 times out of 100 in the postseason. Regular season, right. If that game happens and it's week 1, we're saying, oh, wow, well, hey, the Bills didn't look that great. And Baltimore's probably feeling fine about losing 27-25. Like, all right, well, passed at will, which is kind of how it went. Lamar in that game, 18 of 25 for 254, averaging 10 yards per completion. Sorry, 10 yards per attempt.
I was going to say attempt probably, right?
10 yards per attempt for Lamar in that game. Allen was at 5.8.
Well, to the Bills' credit, the way they won that game is how they won a lot of their games last year, which
turnovers.
Turnovers, but they played a clean game.
Yep.
The Bills played a clean game. They did not make mistakes, big mistakes, and they bet on that guy's going to do it. And he gifted them a pick early in the game that they probably forced him into a little bit, but he threw the ball right to Taylor Rapp, and they pressured him just enough on another one where he just put the ball on the ground for them. And Josh didn't make those mistakes. So that's the difference. And, of course, Andrews being the difference.
Huge.
Also.
Huge.
So, no problem if that's how the Bills are going to beat the Ravens every time. Just, you can trust the Bills to play a more clean game than Baltimore. Sometimes you're not going to get that. And to their credit, I think that is how they had to approach last year's playoff game, because I think if you just went toe-to-toe with the Ravens, you might... that was one of the historically great offenses of the NFL. You go back and look at all NFL seasons and look at what they were yards per play and what they were as a rushing offense especially. And the Ravens were one of the best offenses we've ever seen. And the Bills had a very good offense, but they kind of survived and even more than that, thrived on you never got sacked and you never turned the ball over. And those were the two things you were the best at.
Yep.
And this year, because I just don't know how if you're ever going to be able to count on every time we play them, we're going to be the team that plays a cleaner game. I'd like to see on both sides of the ball the Bills stack up against the Ravens. No, talent-wise, we're there with you, or we're at least close. We're getting close.
You've been looking up also the context of teams that are the best in the league at turnovers and what they do the next year.
Yes.
How sustainable that is as an idea?
So I've got that. Since 2015, so you're going back a decade, the list of teams that have led the league in turnovers. Every single team that has led the league in turnovers since 2016 has had an increase in turnovers the next year. And I think only one team has repeated as the league leader in that front. So, yeah, when I talk about, hey, they're probably still going to be really good at not turning the ball over, they're still going to have more than they did last year. 8. Eight is not the total, is it? 8 might be, I got to find, 8 is the differential. Whatever, I had the numbers a week ago. Here it is. It's an average increase of 7 year to year by these teams that have led the league. And some of them are going up by 10. And like Minnesota, that was a couple years ago. They go up by 10 turnovers. And like that's not actually that bad. That's not what they ended up with. But it's an average increase of 7. There it is. And the teams that have led the league in turnovers, not turning the ball over, I should say, in the last decade, the next year their average increase is 7 turnovers.
Okay.
So the Bills go up by 7. They're still going to be one of the better teams in the league, but 7 turnovers, spread them out throughout games. That makes 5, 6, 7 games a lot more difficult just on that one play because those are huge plays. That Lamar play was like, thinking back in the playoff game.
The win percentage drop or whatever it is?
Even more than that, I think the EPA was like a -8 on that play. Some of that's because Vaughn returned it. But
they're
it was,
in field
it was
goal
like
range,
it was like a -8. It was the most impactful play of the game by EPA.
Well, it's a juicy opponent. And, you mentioned a couple different players in there. Who is fair to ask a lot of? You're talking about Landon Jackson, hoping the Bills' defense can be dominant. I'm thinking, man, a rookie defensive end. What are you asking of him in his first game against Lamar? Welcome to Lamar and Justin Fields to start the season for the Bills. So whichever player on the roster was about to be the scout team quarterback, like that guy's got a job for a couple of weeks to lead off the season. It is a juicy, juicy opener. The thing about proving things and how it all plays out, the Ravens are a little bit like the Chiefs now. Last year, the Bills got thwacked by the Ravens in the regular season and then just took care of them in the playoffs. So let's say Baltimore does it again. 35-10. Derrick Henry runs through their faces. What are we going to say? All right. Long season. That happened early last year. Let's see what happens in the playoffs.
By the way, it was 8 turnovers by the Bills last year in total.
That's incredible.
I had to, I did a double take there because I have 8 written down. I'm like, wait, 8 can't be right. No, it was 8, which tied an NFL record.
The one seed conversation, and I've got a comment here at the chat from Buffalo Bills 23 in the YouTube chat. And this is right. I think this is one way to say it. Beat Baltimore, the one seed conversation is immediately open. If it's not, of course it kind of already is. But if you beat Baltimore, we're going to think they're unbeaten going into the Chief game.
Because their schedule is soft.
Right between those two is light. They have a light schedule. They have a couple of big guns, but they have a pretty light schedule. They have light travel.
Yep.
They have, it's all kind of laid out for them to have this be the year where they are the top team in the AFC. And should we basically kind of look at it like that, one seed or bust? I don't know what bust means.
For the regular season, but sure, yes. Bust might just mean...
You go to the playoffs as the 3 seed or the 2 seed, whatever. But the goal should be the 1 seed
that
again.
bust feels like a letdown. 3 seed might feel like a letdown this year. You'll still be fueled up for the playoffs.
Yep.
But you feel like they should do it. What would be the excuse? It's not the schedule. There's nothing with the schedule. Do they have they don't even have a long stretch where they're not at home, right? They don't have more than 2 games on the road in a row. They have a 3-game homestand. In fact, 4 of the first 5 are at home to start the year. Yeah, really, after Baltimore, Howard will pick the Bills later.
Soft.
I don't want to just say they could be 8-0 going into the Chief game, but it feels like it's not that hard.
One potentially good game, and I'm happy to see this on a Sunday night. The Patriots schedule. So the Patriots and Bills, it's week 5.
Yeah.
New England going into that game, if you want it, Raiders, Dolphins, Steelers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could have a decent record.
And then Panthers.
They could be 3-1.
They could be 4-0, depending on how good they are. But they could be 3-1. And if the Bills are 4-0 and they're 3-1, all right, Sunday Night Football. It's
when we get to that one, that'll feel like a big game for the who's who in the division.
A little bit. That could be your typical Miami game, where it's all right, let's find out if the division is over in week 5.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a nice schedule. I like the spacing out of the teams. The big 4 are in what, week 1, 9, 14, and 17?
Yeah.
As opposed to last couple years, what was it? Eagles and Chiefs, back-to-back opponents.
Mm-hmm.
They had a stretch of 4 out of 5 were just monster games. Here, you've got a big one, and then you flank every big one by, all right, these other teams might have nice seasons, but you wouldn't expect them to be big ones by then.
Look at it this way: Baltimore is they're not really sandwiched by anything because nothing before them. But the Jets are after Baltimore. The Chiefs are sandwiched by Carolina and Miami. Cincinnati is sandwiched by Pittsburgh and New England, and Philly by Cleveland and New York. So, but I will say I don't love where that Philly game is. Week 17.
I've come around in only one way. I think it's a terrible spot for that game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, why is that a terrible spot? It's a terrible spot because one of those teams might not need it.
Or both. Or both seems a little less likely, but it's possible.
Yep. Or both might not need it. Right. Or one of them might need it, both of them might need it, and we might be kind of saying, what do I want to do? Go all out? What if I see this team in a month?
Right.
What do I want to show this team? So
also, like a team that's that good, like how much do I want to... they're big, they're physical. How much do I want to risk injury to go all out? Like, not to say they wouldn't try, but, Joey Bosa in that game.
Yep.
Like, am I going to go into Week 17 against the Eagles thinking, well, the division's locked up, and it'll really be dependent on the 1 seed. Because if they're in full control of the 1 seed, then maybe it's, all right, a guy like Bosa, I don't really play him in this game. Maybe play him like 10 snaps or something. But if I'm tied with Kansas City or tied with Baltimore for the 1 seed, then maybe there's a discussion to have about, okay, you're going all out.
Yeah, I look forward to the conversation leading into that. It reminds me, last year, the Chiefs locked up the 1 seed on Christmas. They played the Steelers. Now, you might say the Steelers are a physical team, but I don't think the Steelers were very good last year. So they went out and they just took care of business against a Steeler team that wasn't very good. It really might be the Bills to lock up a 1 seed or the division or whatever, like that late in the season. Like I when it first came out, my thought was Philly Week 17 is a waste. It should be earlier.
Yeah.
But being earlier would just be for entertainment purposes. This would be closer to the playoffs, closer to, potential Super Bowl matchup. Whatever. At least it's here. The schedule looks good. It's a nice schedule. There's lots to like about it. 803-0550. Take a look at it. Give us a call. It's finally out. What do you like? What do you not like? Carolina Week 8. We like that for a golf trip.
Do we like our Carolina game being Sunday at 1?
Yeah, I think we like that. I mean, Monday Night Football for that was an idea just to extend the week there. They got Monday Night Football in Atlanta, which I think is not too bad.
Yep.
All right. A Monday night game against Atlanta, a Thursday night game in Houston. Maybe the Atlanta game being on Monday night makes that trip a little better, maybe not. I've already got an invite to go down to Atlanta from our former program director, Andy Roth. Let me know if you're in town. He's down in Atlanta. So, the whole thing is it's a nice schedule. I think that the story is Baltimore. Start the season how you ended last season at the stadium, and that's Baltimore.
Yeah. Yeah, I would mostly agree with that. They put the Chief game, are we just never going to get anything different, by the way? It's always going to be, early November, late October at 4:25. There's been no change with that for 5 years now. I mean, the last time these two teams played that was at night even was the COVID year.
Yeah.
So,
well, the playoff game wasn't at night.
Okay, maybe the playoff games have been more mixed around.
Yeah.
But when the schedule comes out, Bills-Chiefs is going to be late October or early November at 4:25 every single time.
And last year, 4:25, it was dark. You're right. It depends on how dark it is.
Yeah. So I was wondering if that might change it up, but I guess just go with what works on that front.
Yep.
And Week 9 is just late enough to where, again, like I'm going to be thinking with this schedule and with their regular season, like you get the top seed. It's the one thing you haven't done. And for Kansas City, like that game being in Week 9, I think it's just late enough where that feels like a race between the two of them, and both would still be in it almost no matter what. Neither team would be like multiple games ahead by Week 9. I think it would be a little surprising if you had that. So I was a little interested where that game came in was basically the same.
803-0550. In the Bills game in the playoffs against the Ravens, they led at halftime 21-10.
Yeah.
And won 27-25.
Couple field goals.
Got intense. 803-0550 our number. All right, so Howard picks the Bills coming up at 8 o'clock. Sal at 7 to break it all down. There are a number of interesting things about the schedule for different teams. The Lions' home schedule is crazy good. The Giants' season ends in the first month. Mm-hmm. They have Murderers Row.
They're going to be toast.
Jets and Steelers as an opener.
Yeah.
That is potentially a double revenge game. Justin Fields and Aaron Rodgers, if Rodgers signs with the Steelers at any point. So that one's pretty good.
Yep. How about the Vikings getting so many national window games?
Yeah, with a rookie quarterback.
I mean, they're week 1 Monday Night Football, right? They've got... Did they max out on primetime games? They were at least where the Bills were. But week 1 against Chicago is the Monday night game, which thought was a little bit interesting. By the way, the Bills, if we didn't mention this, their Monday night game against Atlanta is a doubleheader. There's only 3 Monday night doubleheaders all year. One of them is while Bills and Falcons are taking place at 7 on October 13th. You'll have Chicago and Washington at the same time. Mm-hmm. So there is that.
That's a good game.
Yep.
International schedule will grow and grow. We have Adam Schefter talking about that, so plenty to get to. You can give us a call. Wide open phone lines. Brian Kosio going to preview the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow as well as we roll through this Thursday morning today, the opening round of the PGA. Jeremy and Joe, give us a ring, 803-0550 on WGR. Jeremy White here for So how do you like it? How do you like the schedule? Give us a ring. It's finally out. If you're one of these people that says, hey, just let me know when the schedule actually comes out. Hey, it's out. What do you think? I think the best starting point is, what do you think of Baltimore as the opener? Did we want to do a little better there? Do you like that?
No, I mean, it's good. I mean, it's too good? Sometimes you get week 1 and you think, all right, that game's not going to be there because that's too good of an opener. I think the matchup is awesome. I mean, it is maybe one of the toughest challenges in the league for the Bills specifically and for anybody. But it's a little bit of an opportunity for the Ravens, too, more I would say even for the Bills to kind of, hey, prove that the Bills got away with one in that playoff game.
Revenge game.
Yeah. Because if I were a Ravens fan, I would feel like the Bills got away with one. I would feel like Mark Andrews completely let me down, and my quarterback had a couple of moments in the first half that let me down, and that's it. That's all it took.
Yeah, you'd probably think it was a stupid game. Like, that game got stupid and we lost, and it probably should have been a better outcome.
You think somebody or couple guys screwed it up for us. For the Bills, though, and maybe what a Ravens fan wouldn't be thinking about is the litmus test that is the defense going against Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. And, okay, this Bills defense was opportunistic last year, and they got their result against the Ravens, but how did they do it? They got it by forcing him into a couple of turnovers early in the game. I mean, really only one they forced him into. The other one, he just literally put the ball on the ground. And then you forced a couple turnovers in the second half. Bernard punching the ball out from Andrews. Like, you forced them into mistakes. That's the only way they could succeed on defense last year. I want to be able to see them dominate on defense or be capable of that.
You've been looking up also the context of teams that are the best in the league at turnovers and what they do the next year. Like how sustainable that is as an idea.
So I've got that. Since 2015, so you're going back a decade, the list of teams that have led the league in turnovers. Every single team that has led the league in turnovers since 2016 has had an increase in turnovers the next year. And I think only one team is repeated as the league leader in that front. So, yeah, when I talk about, hey, they're probably still going to be really good at not turning the ball over, they're still going to have more than they did last year. I mean, 8 Eight is not the total, is it? 8 might be, I got to find, 8 is the differential. Whatever, I had the numbers a week ago. Here it is. It's an average increase of 7 year to year by these teams that have led the league. And some of them are going up by 10. And like Minnesota, that was a couple years ago. They go up by 10 turnovers. And like that's not actually that bad. That's not what they ended up with. But it's an average increase of 7. There it is. And the teams that have led the league in turnovers, not turning the ball over, I should say, in the last decade, the next year their average increase is 7 turnovers.
Okay.
So the Bills go up by 7. They're still going to be one of the better teams in the league, but 7 turnovers, spread them out throughout games. That makes 5, 6, 7 games a lot more difficult just on that one play because those are huge plays. That Lamar play was like, thinking back in the playoff game.
The win percentage drop or whatever it is?
Even more than that, I think the EPA was like a -8 on that play. Some of that's because Vaughn returned it. But
they're
it was,
in field
it was
goal
like
range,
Yeah, it was like a -8. It was the most impactful play of the game by EPA. Bill's schedule is officially out. We'll begin with Week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens. There are 5 night games in total, 3 in the first 5 weeks, by the way. And the final game of Highmark Stadium, in the regular season at least, will be Week 18 against the New York Jets. You can check out the Bills schedule in its entirety on our website at WGR550.com. Some of the other headliners from the schedule release. Of course, you have the opener between the Cowboys and the Eagles. We already knew that one. The Monday night opener is going to be the Vikings and the Bears. The Vikings got a lot of primetime games. They will also be Week 2 Sunday Night Football against the Falcons. To hockey, last night, Panthers beat the Maple Leafs 6-1. That's 3 straight wins for Florida. And Toronto now in big trouble going back to South Florida. That series is 3-2. Oilers win round 2. They beat the Golden Knights in 5 games, winning 1-0 last night in overtime. In the NBA, the Celtics stay alive without Jason Tatum, beating the Knicks big last night to force a Game 6. The Warriors' season comes to an end. Steph Curry doesn't get back from injury. The Timberwolves win it in 5. And the PGA Championship is this morning. The big tee time is 8:22. Rory McIlroy, Scottie Scheffler, Xander Schauffele. We'll talk about more of it with Brian Kosio coming up in the next segment. And the Amerks opened their second round of the playoffs last night against Laval. They fall 5-4. Game 2 is Friday night in Rochester. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership.
Picture yourself. Week 1's happened. Your fantasy team is dominated. And the music hits.
Oh, fantasy. I got to look at the Week 1 fantasy slate.
This is fantasy football. By the way, worth mentioning, Bills-Eagles Week 17 is fantasy Valhalla. Potentially.
I think it's fantasy Augusta.
Was that what?
That's better.
Well, I wasn't speaking of golf course. I was speaking of like the mythic Norse.
I guess I did.
Heaven.
See, I guess I didn't even know that was a thing. I just thought it was just the name of a golf course.
No.
Oh, really?
It's a word for.
Have you never seen the Thor movies?
Sure, I have.
They regularly reference Valhalla.
Yeah.
Well,
in the Thor movies, if
he had said Ragnarok, I would have known exactly what he meant.
Oh.
But I guess Valhalla, I didn't. Golf brain.
8030550, Golf Brain. Excuse me. Jeremy and Joe, Baltimore to start the season. That's juicy. And we'll get a PGA Championship preview here as well. On the schedule, maybe you remember things we've said. Maybe you don't remember things we've said. I remember one thing I've said a lot about the Bills and where they live right now, which is I said I want the life the Steelers used to have. Not the football team, but the life. And the life was you're in all these big games all the time. And the Bills have taken that life. Opening the season at home against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
As the game of the week, one of them for sure. I mean, Eagles-Cowboys is decent. Chargers-Chiefs is pretty good. But Ravens-Bills, they're giving you game of the week status in week 1.
Yeah.
The last 2 MVPs, and then primetime week 3, primetime week 5, 425s all up and down the schedule. It's a little bit about the timing. Really what it is how many times is the country going to tune in and say, man, I can't wait to watch this game. And that is the life of the Bills right now.
I think it is definitively the best game of week 1.
Probably.
There's not many that can really top it, but it's better in terms of being a matchup.
Two teams.
It's better than Cowboys and Eagles. It's better than Chiefs and Eagles. It's certainly better than Vikings and Bears. The 425 game is Lions and Packers. That might be the one that comes closest.
That's pretty good, yeah. 8030550 if you want to join us. Brian Kosio on the Wester Hotline, a little PGA Championship preview. And Brian, thoughts on the schedule? How do you like it? How do you like Baltimore to start?
I think the word you use, juicy, is good. It really is. I mean, out of all these matchups that they have this year, we know that there's some good ones with Kansas City, of course, and Philadelphia, but to open with this game, a rematch of one of the playoff matchups from last year with obviously the 2 candidates that went down to the end for MVP with Lamar and with Allen, I think it's pretty good. There's always the opening week nerves aspect of how can they do, and there's always a piece of me that, like last year, the Arizona, I believe was the opener, like that felt safer. This one, beyond the fact that it's excitement because the season starts, the fact that you obviously, you can lose this game because Baltimore's really good. Like there's that layer to it as well. But and then of course, being at night on one of the feature slots, I'm sure the stadium's going to be just going nuts for this opening game. Yeah, I like it. I think we haven't had a game, I think, for the Bills to open where you literally could say like the game's a coin flip in terms of the competitive level of it, I think, in a few years. So that there's that extra layer to it, I think really, really makes it a good one to start.
That's true. The Bills ranking the Bills openers of the past. I mean, they opened the season against the Rams when they were Super Bowl champions. Like that's kind of it. It's certainly better than the way they've had the last couple of years. It's better than Cardinals at 1:00 in terms of just the status of the game.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, I'm sure there'll be more Lamar versus Josh discussions, the last 2 MVPs on the field, and the fact that, you've put those 2 head-to-head again. That's the league wants their stars, obviously profiled as much as possible. The NFL does an amazing job of promoting their stars, and to have 2 of them on the field at the same time is good. I think, we've been hearing, you guys have been talking a lot, it could have been Cincinnati maybe in that spot too. I think probably my perspective is we view the Bengals maybe even more of a team that the Bills sometimes have a little trouble with than maybe just the league would. I think, Cincinnati can play clunkers. We've seen them, they lost to New England in the opener last year, right? So I think on paper, Cincinnati at Buffalo, I think to us sounds maybe, almost as good in terms of the competitive level, but I think to the rest of the football world, having Lamar and Josh and Baltimore and Buffalo, like that is almost as good as the Bills have on their schedule.
Brian Kosio on the Western Hotline. The NFL schedule is out. You, of course, can see it at WGR550.com or wherever you're going to look for a schedule. It's out there. Brian, we have the PGA Championship coming up this weekend. First round is today at Quail Hollow. And one of the storylines is that the players are just talking trash about it. I mean, it's kind of odd. I mean, I like to pretend we can relate with these golfers quite a bit, but sometimes they get to a course and they're just kind of in a bad mood and want to talk a little junk about it. And that seems to be what's happening here at Quail Hollow.
Yeah, it's interesting that, normally players are very tight-lipped about saying anything. Lacks a soul is an interesting quote that we get.
Hunter Mahan, yeah. He threw some strays there at Kim Kardashian, but attempted to say that the course has no soul.
Yeah, and that's Hunter Mahan, who, if you are a younger fan of golf, you might not even know who that is, but a decade ago, he was relevant with USA Golf. He played in a couple of Ryder Cups and President's Cups and things like that. So, it's an interesting comment because most golfers usually are going to say great things about every course that they go to because that's kind of just what you do. The local media wants to know, hey, say some really nice things about our course because we're proud that you're here for the week, and then, we're going to splash it all over our website articles and all over our TV sports reports, and everybody's happy. So to hear that they're ripping into the course at times, I guess with a handful of them, is a little surprising. This course itself underwent a renovation less than a decade ago, and I heard one player say that they Americanized it, which a lot of players, I guess, would refer to the fact of, well, you have to make it longer and you have to grow the rough. And because that's what, turn it into a bomb fest here where, how far can we make it? Can we make this 7,600 yards? Can we make it 7,700 yards? And we're going to grow the rough to the point where when you drop the ball, it disappears because that's almost kind of the mystique of what we see with the U.S. Open.
Yep.
The PGA Championship's kind of gone back and forth in terms of hey, what's our little niche? The Masters, of course, has their lane. They have Augusta National. They're there all the time. The jacket, the no phone. They got their lane. The British Open or the Open Championship, there's kind of their vibe. That's, the home of golf, St. Andrews, all the other historical royal courses, obviously a links setup. The U.S. Open has their shtick, right? Par is the ultimate, and we love to see players take double bogeys, and if you make a birdie there, it's incredible, and they want the winning score to be even par at the end of the tournament. The PGA, while I think it's been better over the last decade since it's made its move over to the May time slot. I think it gets a lot more attention than when it did in August. At times, I've complimented it because I said, hey, it doesn't have to be like the U.S. Open. It doesn't have to be kind of crazy tough. It's had really some exciting finishes. In fact, you want big swings. You want tough holes, but you also want holes where guys can score well. I thought that the PGA of America has done a nice job in setting that up. With that being said, you're asking me about the course itself. I think maybe a piece of it, they play a regular PGA Tour event here every year. It's a long time. It's been the Wells Fargo Championship. It just changed to the Truist Championship. They didn't play it there last week. It was at the Philadelphia Cricket Club last week because they had to move it because, of course, Quail Hollow's hosting the PGA Championship this week. But players maybe are just we see this every year on the PGA Tour, so maybe it's a little less special for them, kind of more ho-hum just because they see it every year. Maybe that's a small part of it. But I was a little surprised that players were going after the course because, again, normally they have a lot of nice things to say about it.
So longer tee boxes or just longer fairways in general and thicker rough, is that to mean this is a week to be looking at some of the big hitters on the tour?
I would think so, especially, too, Joe, because they've had quite a bit of rain over the course of these last 3 days. Monday, they actually had to close the facility to spectators because it was raining so hard. I don't know if anybody saw it. There was at least on kind of the golf social media, there was a viral video of Hideki Matsuyama on Monday putting with his caddy holding the umbrella over him through puddles on the practice putting green, and it was dark out. It was just, I don't know, it was a weird scene. But guys were, if they were able to practice on Monday, they had to practice in pouring rain. They do, part of that renovation that they did recently, they have sub-air systems in the green similar to Augusta National. So the greens still will be fine. They still will be firm. The fairways, though, and the rough are probably going to be thick and probably going to be soft. So that would be, again, advantage to long hitters. So, right away, to me, the two that I think of instantly, I think of McIlroy and I think of DeChambeau. And probably not a surprise that, they're two of the top three favorites along with Scheffler. I think you would say they're favorites regardless of whether the course is playing short or long, but the longer hitters this week are going to have an advantage because there's not going to be much roll in the fairway. So an opportunity for them to maybe have, better scoring coming in. If the greens are even a tad softer, I'd still say advantage to guys that are great with their wedges, and McIlroy has really tuned his game to be great with his short game now. That's part of the reason why I think he's having an incredible season on tour. I mean, winning the Players, winning the Masters, if you've got a chance, if he's in contention here, this could be one of the greatest starts to a season that we've seen in terms of big-time tournaments. And Rory has as much success as anybody at this course. He's won the event that I mentioned, the regular PGA Tour stop at Quail Hollow. He's won it 4 times. He holds the course record here with a 61. He also has the tournament scoring record when it's here at Quail Hollow with 21 under par. And his scoring average at Quail Hollow is 69.4. It's nearly a shot better than anybody else over the course of his career during the time that they've been playing at Quail Hollow. So the horse for course argument, plus the rain, plus how his playing, plus maybe the mental lift of getting the Grand Slam, a lot of boxes you could be pointing at saying that Rory could have another good week here.
One thing about this course that I think people will appreciate as we're talking with Brian Kosio about the PGA Championship, which starts today. Get plenty of schedule talk coming up, Sal, top of the hour. There are water holes, Brian. Multiple water holes. And I just feel like anytime you're hoping for big swings in an event, water holes matter. And they're not just, hey, can this guy get it over the pond, over the creek? It is, there are multiple holes where there's water up the entire side of a hole, where missing right or missing left is a stroke penalty. You've got water, a major factor at this tournament.
Yeah, and that, in some sense, is I think a creek runs through at least most of the course too, as you mentioned.
Especially on the back. On 18, there's a creek right in the middle. It's a fun course.
Yeah. What that does is then, you think, well, if it bombs away this week, that at least gives you that element that if you're not accurate off the tee, that you can pay for it even in a more penal fashion than just, I might not have a great lie. It could be an instant penalty stroke, as you said. So that'll be an extra layer for sure. And, that'll be interesting to see if guys maybe aren't as accurate, what sort of decisions they make, which say, hey, maybe I have to hit 3 wood here to keep it more accurate, which means I've got a longer shot into a green on a very, very long course. So, that's another extra layer for sure. Even just aesthetically, it does the creek running through the course. I think there are some really nice looking holes, including 18, as you mentioned. So I think that we'll get to see that through the television coverage here over the next 4 days.
Brian Kosio. Brian, where are you guys for tee to green this week?
We are about as north as we could go here in New York, here, at least in Western New York. We're in Youngstown. We're almost literally right on Lake Ontario. We are at Niagara Frontier Golf Club. We're excited to go there, and we're going to be on for 2 hours as we do for Major Week. So 7 to 9 this weekend on Saturday morning.
And then Batavia Downs for the Preakness?
Correct. Yep, I'll be there from 2 to 5.
Big day. You're busy. You're busy on Saturday.
Yes, I know. Yep, Youngstown and then to Batavia. It's going to be a good day.
All right, and then of course the Lou Lamoriello press conference at some point. No, I'm kidding. Well, we don't know about that.
I still can't believe a day later what that ended up being.
Yeah,
just his Nexus interview. That's it.
Allegedly.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Enjoy the tournament today.
Yep.
And Joe, you said it. Coming up quick this morning for those that want to watch the premier tee time of the day. You've got McIlroy and you've got Scheffler and you've got Schauffele all together at 8:22 this morning.
Let's go. Beauty. Thanks, Brian.
Okay, guys, thanks.
More of your phone calls, 803-0550 on the schedule. Mike, we'll get to your call right on the other side. Sal Capaccio, top of the hour, his thoughts on the schedule release. Here it is. We've got it all. No holidays, no international travel, plenty of 4 o'clocks, plenty of late games, night games. Jeremy and Joe to break it all down with you here on WGR. So how do you like it? How do you like the schedule? Give us a ring. It's finally out. If you're one of these people that says, hey, just let me know when the schedule actually comes out. Hey, it's out. What do you think? I think the best starting point is, what do you think of Baltimore as the opener? Did we want to do a little better there? Do you like that?
No, I mean it's good. I mean it's is it too good? Sometimes you get week 1 and you think, all right, that game's not going to be there because that's too good of an opener. I think the matchup is awesome. I mean, it is maybe one of the toughest challenges in the league for the Bills specifically and for anybody. But it's a little bit of an opportunity for the Ravens, too, more I would say even for the Bills to kind of, prove that the Bills got away with one in that playoff game.
Revenge game.
Yeah. Because if I were a Ravens fan, I would feel like the Bills got away with one. I would feel like Mark Andrews completely let me down, and my quarterback had a couple of moments in the first half that let me down, and that's it. That's all it took.
Yeah, you'd probably think it was a stupid game. Like, that game got stupid and we lost, and it probably should have been a better outcome.
You think somebody or couple guys screwed it up for us. For the Bills, though, and maybe what a Ravens fan wouldn't be thinking about is the litmus test that is the defense going against Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. And, this Bills defense was opportunistic last year, and they got their result against the Ravens, but how did they do it? They got it by forcing him into a couple of turnovers early in the game. I mean, really only one they forced him into. The other one, he just literally put the ball on the ground. And then you forced a couple turnovers in the second half. Bernard punching the ball out from Andrews. Like, you forced them into mistakes. That's the only way they could succeed on defense last year. I want to be able to see them dominate on defense or be capable of that.
Whether it's Kincaid or Coleman or, Shakir.
I mean, for me, though, it would be Coleman.
Who you'd want to see break out the most.
100%.
Yeah.
If Kincaid broke out, I do think it would be valuable, very valuable to this offense, and you can win that way. But if Coleman broke out...
If Coleman became a top 15 receiver in the league, the Bills would be monsters.
With the type of player he is, too, with the jump balls, and, I mean, I was reading Ben Solak the other day. Actually, I think Marcus Mosher had him quoted in here. Basically, that Coleman, one of the most exciting things about his profile going forward is his ability with the ball in his hands. That you get him the ball in space, and he's got wiggle, and he's got ability to break away from people. He can be a good receiver when it comes to yards after catch. But he wasn't really asked to do that very much in his rookie season, so that's a question too. But for me, Coleman would be the answer. If Coleman broke out and became a top 15 receiver in the NFL, that's the element of their offense they didn't have last year.
Yeah, someone they can trust outside.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got others that can do some of the job that Kincaid does. So Coleman, I feel like, he's kind of it. In terms of that boundary, can you do more down the field? Can you run all the routes, route tree stuff? If he can figure out a way to become good at all of that, Shakir's a great player, but is a little bit limited. And Samuel has been a good player in the past, but he's a little bit limited as a skill set. So I would answer Coleman.
Schedule winners and losers. Some teams have tough goes of it, including the Lions. So the Lions season starts like this. Packers, Bears, Ravens. Browns are mixed in there. And then Bengals, Chiefs, Bucks, Vikings, Commanders, Eagles.
Yikes.
And then the Giants.
Yeah.
Packers, Cowboys, Rams, Steelers, Vikings, Bears. That is a tough schedule.
Yep.
The schedule and your difficulty of schedule really comes down to which division you're crossing over with and the timing of it.
Yeah.
Like the Bills are crossing over with the NFC South, which is okay. And the best team there is Tampa,
but it's not like that marquee of a division. In fact, it's probably the least marquee division in the league.
Whereas the Lions, one of their crossovers is the NFC East, which has 3 good teams.
Right.
Or 3 at least respectable teams. Their own division is very good. And their crossover AFC is the North, which has at least 2, maybe 3 respectable teams. So, it's not quite luck of the draw, but it kind of is. It's cyclical, but the cycles are unexpected, and you could have a rough year in there somewhere. So the Lions have a tough road.
I was looking at the Sunday night schedule a little bit later in the year. I don't think there's much opportunity for the Bills to get flexed later in the season.
Unless someone in the division is good?
Yeah, that. And also, so many of their games are at 425.
Right.
And those games are just never getting... Like, if New England was great, and the division is in the balance, and you go to week 15... Like, okay, that's Vikings and Cowboys right now on Sunday Night Football. And there's a chance of that. That's one game, though, I feel like I can realistically find, like, oh, yeah, that could get flexed. Because they're not getting, like, 425 against Cincinnati is not getting flexed, right?
No.
Fox, that's a Fox game. Fox is not letting that game out of their grasp. They will protect that game.
Right, those games get protected.
And Philly in week 17, so maybe week 15, but I think most likely this is the Bills' primetime schedule.
803-0550. Sal on the other side will dig through it, the travel, the spots, the rundown. And Howard picks the Bills coming up at 8 o'clock. Jeremy and Joe here on WGR. On the schedule, maybe you remember things we've said, maybe you don't remember things we've said. I remember one thing I've said a lot about the Bills and where they live right now, which is I said I want the life the Steelers used to have. Not the football team, but the life. And the life was you're in all these big games all the time. And the Bills have taken that life. Opening the season at home against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
As the game of the week, one of them for sure. I mean, Eagles-Cowboys is decent. Chargers-Chiefs is pretty good. But Ravens-Bills, they're giving you game of the week status in week 1.
Yeah.
The last 2 MVPs, and then primetime week 3, primetime week 5, 425s all up and down the schedule. It's a little bit about the timing. Really what it is how many times is the country going to tune in and say, man, I can't wait to watch this game. And that is the life of the Bills right now.
I think it is definitively the best game of week 1.
Probably.
There's not many that can really top it, but it's better in terms of being a matchup.
Two teams.
It's better than Cowboys and Eagles. It's better than Chiefs and Eagles. It's certainly better than Vikings and Bears. The 425 game is Lions and Packers. That might be the one that comes closest.
That's pretty good, yeah. You could definitely afford Trey Hendrickson. And it's not going well there. Hendrickson, another player that we spent a good amount of time talking about this offseason. Could the Bills wrench him away from Cincinnati? That's before they sign, Bosa, and they draft the defensive end, Landon Jackson. Hendrickson's a guy we talked about quite a bit, but I could never envision them actually trading him to the Bills or to another AFC contender. But he might not last there too long. He says he thinks it's personal at this point.
I think the reason he thinks that is he spoke about a number of things yesterday. I liked his comment about how, the one quote, I'm not going to apologize for the rates being paid to defensive ends in the National Football League. Like, these guys are getting this.
Yep.
It's not my fault. I just want to be paid in line with my peers that are, this dude led the league in sacks. the personal one of the things I saw that he could have taken personally was Zach Taylor last month texting him like, "Hey, if you don't report to minicamp," which is at that point think of it like 3 months away, like you're going to get fined. And he took that as, well, I guess they have no want to even talk to me about contract anymore because they're already warning me about what's going to happen in the summer if I don't show up. They already have it in their heads, oh, we're not going to get a contract on here. We're already mentally moved on to, well, is he going to show up at minicamp? Are we going to have to fine him? Because that's what they're texting me about. The head coach.
Yeah, which is a little bit like the Bills with James Cook, of course, the difference being Hendrickson has proven to be elite, and Cook had a really nice year, and for the Bills to kind of stand on that and say, do it again, that is justified. For Hendrickson with the Bengals, it's not that. This is one of the top, 5 pass rushers in football.
Yes.
He has outperformed his contract, and it's all gone way higher than what he makes. Why don't you go ahead and give him a contract?
And the other thing was that Hendrickson spoke on that because this trade request didn't start this offseason. It was last year. Before last season, Hendrickson requested a trade, and what he spoke about yesterday, that there was a promise basically made to him, like, come in, be at camp, play the season on your current deal, and if you play well and you earn it, then we'll talk.
Yep.
And then he went out and led the league in sacks. And they want him to do it again without talking about without doing a new contract.
If the Bengals,
so he probably feels betrayed, like, you lied to me. The Buffalo Bills 2025 schedule is in, and it's official. It will start with the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football in Week 1. There are 5 night games in total for the Bills, 3 of them in the first 5 weeks of the season. A Thursday night game at home against Miami, a Sunday night game at home again against New England, so 3 home primetime games early, and then 2 road night games later at Houston in Thursday, Week 12, and against Atlanta, skipped over that one. That's Week 6, Monday Night Football. So a lot of primetime games for the Bills. The final game of the season at Highmark Stadium in the regular season will be against the New York Jets in Week 18. We'll talk more about the schedule coming up with Sal Capaccio coming up next. To hockey. Last night in the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Panthers blow out the Maple Leafs 6-1, take a 3-2 series lead. They've won 3 in a row. The Oilers end Vegas' season 1-0 in overtime. Edmonton wins it in 5 games. Tonight, Hurricanes Capitals at 7, Stars and Jets at 9:30. Dallas and Carolina will advance with wins. In the NBA, the Celtics stay alive with a blowout win over the Knicks. The Warriors season comes to an end. Timberwolves win that series in 5. The Amherst began their second round of their playoffs yesterday. They fall 5-4 to Laval. They will next be in action Friday night in Rochester for game number 2. And the PGA Championship is just getting underway right now. The first tee times are 7 a.m. as the tournament kicks off at Quail Hollow. 8:22 is the big tee time this morning for Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, and Xander Schauffele. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership.
Fast forward a couple months. What are you doing when you hear this music? Walking in the stadium. You're not hearing the music, maybe if you're going to the game.
No. So if you're watching on TV, I'd be standing up.
Waiting for... Who's on the panel now? Is it Jason Garrett still? Is it Tony Dungy?
Please, no more Jason Garrett.
Who's Football Night in America? Who is it?
It's probably...
It's Tirico and Collinsworth, right?
For sure on that. And then it's... Didn't they take Tony Dungy out of the studio last year?
Maybe.
Jason Garrett, I know. Jason Garrett.
Sal Capaccio joins us on the Western Hotline. Sunday Night Football to open the season. It comes all the way back to that, Sal. You know, we're like kids on Christmas or whatever. You look at the box, you shake it a bunch of times, you think it's 5 different things, you talk yourself into a bunch, and then you open it, it's what you thought it might have been originally. Bills-Ravens, Sunday Night Football. A beauty of a start for the Bills and for the NFL.
Yeah, it's kind of what the league actually does with the schedule, guys, to be honest with you. They go through a bunch of iterations of it, and the one that finally pops out, as Mike North always says, there's thousands of these things, and then they finally get to one where they bring it finally to the commissioner and say, you know, what do you think? And it's not like he's nixing all the other ones, right? But they think that this is the one, and it gets close, and they do that. And, you know, I think it was on track for a long time that we thought the Bills might be in that window, especially Sunday Night Football in Week 1. And finally, we found out yesterday that is indeed the case. I think for a while we all thought it could be. It was the Ravens for me for a while, then it became the Bengals, right? We had this discussion last week. I thought it was the Bengals for a while. Ultimately, it is the Ravens. It's a rematch of the AFC Divisional Round playoff game last year. And I think for NBC and I think for the NFL, having the Ravens Week 1 is just such a great storyline with that particular matchup, rematch. Josh Allen against Lamar Jackson, the last 2 MVPs of this league. Right, I mean, it's just it's very juicy, and it really fits. So it is a heck of a matchup for Week 1 on all sides, for the teams and the league.
Yeah, for the league, I mean, I know Mahomes is obviously the most accomplished, Sal, but I bet an average football fan across the country, if they had to name the 2 most exciting quarterbacks in the league, they're getting the top 2 in the same game.
Yeah, I agree. You know, look, we all know also the Chiefs were already spoken for in Week 1. The Eagles were already spoken for in Week 1, right? Your options really did come down. If you want the Bills in that window, it probably was going to be either the Bengals or the Ravens. The other 2 teams they play at home were already playing. So, yeah, if you're the outside, I said this last week, if you're a fan in another market, sure, you could look and say, oh my gosh, Joe Burrow, that's a great matchup. But I think just the intrigue of Lamar against Josh, week 1, the rematch, it fits here. It just fits here for week 1, Sunday Night Football, and how this plays out with the storyline. And look, I wrote a reaction article at WGR550.com. We went on last night, Matt Bovey and I. It's always game day in Buffalo. And it was a big thing for me after just digesting it. And I think a lot of Bills fans share this sentiment, especially if you get through game 1, right? But whatever, include game 1. I mean, guys, the first 7 weeks of the Bills, they have such an opportunity here. I did the math last night, and I wrote it up. After week 1 against the Ravens, the Bills' next 6 games, the opponent's record last year combined 35 and 67. None made the playoffs. None were over 500. I mean, they 5-2 to me has to be the minimum expectation. Not only that you should even clear that, maybe 6-1. I mean, I just think, yes, anything can happen, but this is an opportunity for them over their first 7 games. And, oh, by the way, while they're without Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi through the stretch, doesn't matter to me. You need to go out there, and this is a stretch where until you get to that Kansas City game, you're facing 7 teams outside of the Ravens, then 6 other teams that really give you opportunity.
Yeah, as you lay that out, it strikes me that really the Bills in this the 1 seed conversation that we've had for 5 years really now, the Bills have never been playing with the lead. Never. It's always been catch-up mode, right? Like you're a game back of the Chiefs or you're 2 games back of Tennessee or whatever, whereas the way the schedule sets up, especially if you're able to beat Baltimore in week 1, Sal, I mean, I'll have to look at the Chiefs schedule too and see, I don't want to make this point and they have the same easy stretch, but it feels like if the Bills can take week 1, I mean, the odds are that they're going to have control of the 1 seed if they can grab it.
Agreed. And actually, I'll do it for you, Joe. I'll tell you, the Chiefs have a pretty tough stretch. In fact, they play the Ravens in week 4. They'll play each other.
Okay.
They also play the Eagles. They play the Chargers. They play the Lions. They play the Commanders on Monday Night Football before coming to Buffalo on a short week, right? That's going to be a big game for the, for the 1 seed. The Ravens might have one of the toughest starts in the league. After the Bills, they get the Browns, but then they get the Lions, the Chiefs, the Texans, the Rams before they have a bye week. So you're right. I mean, if the Bills, especially if you get that game against Baltimore. Now, we all know how this works. You can win that game and it doesn't matter. The Bills lost to the Ravens last year, and the Ravens still the Ravens beat them, but the Bills still had the better seed. And then the Bills beat the Chiefs, and the Chiefs still had the better seed, right? But these games matter when it comes time for that. And if you want that 1 seed, getting off to that start, I think is going to be imperative.
So we have someone in the YouTube chat asking a question, why the Bills have so many front-loaded primetime games and not late in the season primetime games. And that's the 2nd consecutive season for that, right? And if I could venture a guess, it's because the division is not expected to be all that competitive. Because, they've got their share of big games in 5 primetime and 4 425s. But the reason would be if Miami or New England were thought to be better, you might be more likely to get one of those. Instead, I've got the NFC North that deals with this. I've got the AFC North that's more competitive. I've just got a good number of options if I'm the NFL later in the season for divisional matchups that could hit those spots.
I would agree. To me, that's what it strikes me as. When we kind of knew the schedule last night, by the time I went on with Show Up with the Bulldog, I said the same thing, Jeremy, which is that would be my theory. Now, I don't know if that's right. That, okay, the league says, okay, what if the Bills just kind of run away with the division? Give them the front-loaded early primetime games, and then as the season goes on, maybe that division isn't as competitive. Now, that being said, I do want to point out, as Mike North has said many times, 4:25 p.m. is a big-time window. In fact, I went back and looked last year. The 4:25 Sunday slot is actually the most watched window in the week in the NFL. Yes, primetime matters. We all know that. You get those standalone games, you get all the eyeballs. But in this day and age, on these streaming services and a lot of places where people aren't readily necessarily getting all of these games, 4:25 on Fox or CBS is actually the most watched window and spot of the weekend. You are competing with another game or two in that window usually, but there's a national window there. So what I've had this morning is a lot of people asking me, or maybe complaining, excuse me, maybe complaining or asking, why do the Dolphins have as many primetime games as the Bills? And they do. The Dolphins have 5, and they have, like the Bills, and they have an international game. But I'll point out, the Bills have 4:25 p.m. starts. The Dolphins have 0. That matters to the league. So, Jeremy, your point is right about, they do have a front-loaded primetime schedule. They have a back-loaded 4:25 p.m. schedule, which is really the most watched window of the week.
And I looked at this last segment, Sal. I think I heard you and Matt Bove too talk about this, that in terms of like flex potential later in the year, I don't really feel like there's a good. I thought maybe week 15, if New England is great, you could get in front of Cowboys and Vikings, but even that one, like you're taking Dallas off. They better. I mean, Prescott would have to be injured probably. So picking another spot where if someone's thinking, oh well, they have 5 right now, but maybe they end up with 6 or 7. I have a tough time finding where that would happen.
I agree with you, Joe, because here's what has to happen so everybody understands the rules here. The NFL networks cannot protect games before the season comes out. So up until yesterday, for example, CBS could not go to the league and say, we're protecting Bills Chiefs. Like, you can't put that anywhere but on our network. They can't do that. The league just puts these games, and they do try to take care of their partners throughout the years, and that's been a big CBS game, but the league puts it wherever it puts it. However, once it's slotted, as the season goes on and flex scheduling begins, that's when each network can say, nope, we're protecting one game from being flexed out. So this week it's going to be that game. This week it's going to be that game. Well, look at the schedule. These games, 4:25 p.m. at Steelers, against the Bengals, against the Eagles, all of those games against the Chiefs, 4:25 p.m. is the national window game. So the chances are the network these games are on, which, by the way, Bengals Bills is Fox. You guys see that? It's very interesting.
It is interesting.
Not CBS, it's Fox, right? Those networks are most likely going to protect that game because they've already slotted it in, and they're counting on that game being the national game. If they don't protect it, and it does get flexed, that actually means probably that one of those teams is not where the league thought they would be at that time.
Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline. We do have a couple of primetime games in the division. Both the Dolphins and the Jets come here for late games. One of the big stories, Sal, I don't know how much a coach would use this or how much a GM or a player would think about this, but I think you're probably seeing a lot of Bills fans looking at the travel, the time zones, no international. Like, it is as easy a logistics schedule as you could possibly ask for. And some are taking that to say, like, all right, this is a year for the 1 seed. Sure, you've got to win your games, but there's not a lot of things to complain about with regard to, unless there's a blizzard that moves a game or two, which, of course, is always, something that could happen. But, man, the whole thing kind of just sets up and looks really nice for a Bills fan, hoping they can, get the job done.
Yeah, so you could take it from a competitive standpoint, and you could take it from a fan standpoint. From the competitive standpoint, you're right, Jeremy. This is a coach's dream schedule for the Bills. The Bills already had, going into, we knew, the second fewest miles traveled of all teams. Once we knew they were playing no international games, the second fewest miles traveled of any team in the league. The fewest is the Cincinnati Bengals, actually. The Bills are number 2. So that's what coaches love. Less travel. You're not on a plane a lot. You're maintaining routines, so you don't have to adjust a lot of body clocks, things like that. But speaking of that, not just travel, they play one game outside the Eastern time zone. That is it. That is against the Houston Texans, and that's only in the Central time zone. It is a Thursday night. It's a little bit disruptive, but that's the only game they play outside the Eastern time zone. In fact, the only team the Bills play, 3 teams, I think Houston, it's Kansas City, and New Orleans are the only other teams that are outside the Eastern time zone, but they come to Buffalo. So, yeah, this is a coach's dream. I think for a lot of players it's like that. Like, there's less travel, less on your body, get back to Buffalo, recovery time. All those things are really, really big. From a fan standpoint, though, there's not a lot of what we call destination cities this year. And the ones that are, Atlanta was made a Monday night game. Mm-hmm. Houston was made a Thursday night game. You could still do those, right? But now it makes it a little bit trickier maybe if you're going to do that. And then the other warmer weather cities, Atlanta, Houston, Carolina, Miami, you do get 2 in November, which is nice. The other 2 are before that. But I would say this, guys, starting November 30th, get the cold weather gear ready. Every single game is in a northeastern city and a northern city. Steeler outdoors, too. Pittsburgh, Orchard Park, New England, Cleveland, Orchard Park.
That's cold. It does make it the way you say that. If you've never, this is me, and I'm hoping to do that this year. If there was ever a year maybe to do the Miami trip as a Bills fan, this might be the year because there isn't any other like elite trips. And November 9th, I mean, Sal, you know better than I would, but I feel like November 9th it's still obviously very warm down there, and it's just when it starts getting cold here.
Joe, I'll say this: you're right 100%. In fact, I said this on the podcast last night. the Miami trip is a great trip already because it's, a lot of Bills fans, displaced fans going down there. I mean, when you go down to the Miami game and you are on A1A and it's just Bills fans packing all of Miami and South Beach, it's amazing, right? It's a great party. But what's happened is over the last few years, you had the one game was flex on Sunday night. Then the other, you had the game that was last year was Thursday night. I think there was a holiday mixed in there, right? And it's made it a little bit tougher, more challenging. You have Russ Salvatore has an annual party down there at the Blue Martini, and I go to that and say hi to people. It's great. Having this game on a Sunday at 1 p.m. is the best time to have it.
Yeah.
Have it Sunday at 1 p.m. because Bills fans can make a regular weekend trip out of it. And you're right, it's November, right? Hey, it's going to be a little colder here. It's not the worst time of the year in Buffalo, obviously. We could have some decent temperatures, and it won't be that bad. You never know. It's hit and miss, but you're right. To me, this is the perfect year to go to Miami.
Yeah, the last time I can obviously remember that game's during the day in Miami, it was the day that it was like 99 degrees.
Yes,
week 3.
That's right.
Because it was so early in the season. Sal, what about where the bye week ends up? We talked a little bit about this yesterday, week 7. Earlier maybe than the Bills would hope for, but again, with logistics and the way their schedule sets up, maybe, doesn't end up being that terrible.
Right, so I think if you ask the Bills, they'd probably... if you gave every team their choice, I think the Bills would rather have it later. Most teams would. I think middle of the season is good. I think later in the season seems to be a little bit more, conducive, considering a 17-game season these days for every team. So probably that. Remember, the Bills went to London a couple of years ago. They were given an option. Every team is, do you want your bye right after? They said no. They wanted to take their chances of getting it later, and they did wind up getting it later. So that tells me they'd probably want it a little bit later. Now, that's right, but let me go back to what I said about Hoyt and Ogunjobi, guys. So those guys, they can start practicing after 4 games. So after week 4, Larry Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyt can start practicing. They'll miss Baltimore, Jets, Dolphins, Saints. That means then they can start practicing. They'll miss Patriots, they'll miss Falcons. Then they get a whole extra week. They're actually going to have 3 weeks of practice before coming back and playing against the Panthers. From a roster standpoint, like that's also good. That's reinforcements. Maybe you have a couple of guys getting dinged up. They get an extra week of practice. So I think you could look at it like that. I think, all in all, you'd want your bye a little bit later. There's no doubt. I do think there's a little something to be said, though, for that particular week and having a bye.
Sal Capaccio, schedule breakdown, a lot of lead up to it. Now we finally have the whole thing. And then, Sal, the other storyline is the closing of Highmark Stadium, right? This is the final season at this version of Highmark Stadium, this stadium. The Jets to finish, the Eagles late in the year. The Eagles game could be very meaningful. It wouldn't surprise me if the Jets game is not meaningful, but we have to wait to see how that all plays out. You mentioned finishing in the cold. I wonder if the Bills had any sort of requests along the way, like last game of the season, let's have it at our place, or let's make sure we get some December games to finish things out. Teams can make some level of request or kind of ask, not that it's always honored, but closing at the stadium against the Jets, like that'll be a special day probably regardless of what the record is.
Yeah, I don't know if the Bills did this. Maybe we can find out at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if they requested the Jets, but also, we know that if it's going to be Week 18, there's only one of 3 teams that can be. Didn't have to be Week 18. We had a bit of a debate. I think we talked about this. Do they do Week 17? Do they do Week 18? Because what if you do Week 18 and the starters don't play, right? I mean, you're closing out the season. There's no Josh Allen. Well, now you get both. So, you're guaranteed in some capacity here. But the last game is going to be the New York Jets. And the reason I say request the Jets, it is the first game ever played in the stadium, right? I think that, to me, it feels like this was intentionally done by the league in whatever capacity, which is they're intentionally scheduling the last regular season game against the team that opened the first regular season game, the New York Jets. Do you guys know what happened in that game back in 1972, by the way?
I do not. 72.
The Bills beat the Jets 9-7 on the strength of 3 field goals in the very first regular season game ever at Highmark Stadium. Who knows with the weather, and if the Bills have things wrapped up and they're just kind of resting starters, maybe we get something like that again. So you're right, Jeremy, I think, but when we go back to our conversation with Mike North, he said they think about the last year in the stadium, but it's not something they really build the schedule around like they do the first year of a stadium, right? The first year is, okay, we're opening this building, showing it off to the league and our partners and the nation. That's next year for the Bills, 2026, opening Highmark Stadium. So, yeah, they're thinking about it. And we all know, too, listen, I mean, anything can happen. Bills could have a bad year, and that's always possible. But I think we all realize that this is probably not going to be the last game, the Jets, right? They're going to have a home game, you hope, at the stadium during the playoffs. So I think all that has to matter. One other note about this. The Eagles game on the week 17, it is a 4:25 p.m. Sunday game. It is not eligible. It is not in that group to be moved to Saturday night on Peacock. There are 5 games. I think it's 5. I tweeted them out. You can take a look at them. There are 5 games, week 17, that are TBD Saturday. That is not one of them. Of the 5 games, one of them will be played Saturday night. The Bills are playing on Sunday that week against the Philadelphia Eagles. So for all the talk we had about the Peacock game and whatever, the Bills will not be there. Here, you got Seahawks, Panthers, Cardinals, Bengals, Ravens, Packers. That seems juicy. Texans, Chargers, Giants, Raiders. One of those games will be this Peacock game.
How do you feel about the Philly game being that late in the year in terms of how meaningful it could be or the potential? I don't know how likely it would be. It would certainly be possible, though, Sal, that those two teams, I don't think they'd be resting starters, but there's a chance maybe they're not playing for a ton by that point in the year.
Yeah, I don't love it. I think for purposes of, what you said, it seemed like it was maybe fit. Late would be fine. This is a little bit later than I thought. So you're right. At that point, what are they playing for? But I think we get a little ahead of ourselves sometimes with that, Joe, because it seems to me like week 17, it has happened. Week 17 is generally a week where teams are still fighting for seeds, right?
Yeah.
To me, they're probably fighting for the 1 seed. And unless you have a 2-game clear lead for the 1 seed, you're still fighting for something. And I mean, that would be, you could have a great year and that could happen. Maybe not in the division, but I still think you're probably playing for something meaningful there.
Last thing, someone in the YouTube chat just mentioned this. When we get the Bills rivalry uniforms, so the only thing we know about that is that it'll be home against a division rival, and I mean, we could guess at which one it would be. I don't know how you'd really figure that out, other than when you think early in the season, because I don't know that they'd wait all the way until week 18 against the Jets, which would also, again, be the final game at the stadium where they'd introduce something brand new.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. So you have 2 choices there. They're night games, right? The other 2 are night games. So do you do it on Thursday night? I think Sunday, I don't know this. I'm just a good question. I wonder if Sunday Night Football against the Patriots fits for this. Because it's Sunday night, NBC, very watched type of game, not Thursday night. Maybe that's where you put that. I'm not sure though.
That's a good. I like that theory for sure, and it would be early either way. Sal Capaccio on the West Her hotline.
Speaking of the Patriots, by the way, real quick,
yeah.
Patriots have 3 primetime games. All 3 are against what is called New York teams. We all know there's only one actual New York team, okay? But
yes,
all 3 are against the New York teams. I mean, I think that the league here is telling us, okay, like we're going to put the Patriots on, big market. They have a nice young quarterback. But think about it. I mean, yes, the Jets aren't going to be very good, but they paired the Patriots up with 3 kind of anchor teams, meaning 2 teams from the largest market in the country and 1 with the league MVP, right? So it's kind of interesting. I just look at it and think, like, what are they thinking there? And you could say, no, Sal, stop it. The Jets stink, and they're just putting them because the Patriots. And that's fine. I get it. But it is still pairing them with the largest market twice, the Jets and the Giants, and then also with the league MVP.
Yeah, I was looking at the list of who has what. The 3 teams, and I don't really think this is much of a surprise, the 3 teams without any primetime games, Cleveland, Tennessee, and New Orleans. Maybe you could have thought Tennessee just because Cam Ward, number 1 overall pick. But it's not like he's the most hyped number 1 pick ever. And then Jacksonville, Indy, Carolina only had 1. I would say, though, of those teams, Sal, the ones that either had 0 or 1 primetime games, I actually am a little surprised by Jacksonville. Like, not to say they're like, they should get 5, but I thought there'd be more of a curiosity for this unicorn, Travis Hunter, both sides of the ball. Like, maybe we get him on early in the year, a Monday night game or something for the curiosity of it. But it's also the Jaguars, so I guess they only get 1.
Speaking of the Titans, they had a great schedule reveal video, by the way.
They did. Was that your favorite of the schedule release video?
I have not watched them all.
Okay.
I mean, the Chargers towed the line again. The Chargers were very, very, and we all know the Colts had to delete theirs.
The Colts had to delete theirs, yeah.
Yeah, after some things that happened and what they put on there. Oh my gosh! But the Titans had theirs where they did like if you suffer from, what is it called, schedule Rizzy or something, I don't know, something
Schedule
like that.
Rizzy, yeah.
And like they went through it. And then the funniest part, you have to pay attention. At the end, they said side effects include, and they go through each game, and you have to hear what they say when they match it up. They literally say diarrhea when they show the Browns.
I think I missed that at the end. I have to go
Right,
back and watch that.
that's the funny part. Like you have to. It's not just a commercial. It's funny. Go to the end. Watch when they say side effects include, and they go through all the teams. Although they only do the division teams once, not twice. And they have something like an adjective to be said about each team they show, and it's like, oh my god, I can't believe they said that.
And the Bills getting Allen Iverson is a pretty good get.
AI
Funny for AI. Were you an AI guy? Did you like Iverson?
No, because I went to Syracuse and he's a Georgetown guy.
Right.
When he got to the league, I mean, he's exciting, but we hated Allen Iverson and those years.
That makes sense. Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline, Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show at 10 o'clock, and also it's always game day in Buffalo. Him and Matt already broke it down. That's available to you on the Odyssey app as well. Thanks, Sal.
You got it.
Sal Capaccio, and we will continue taking your reaction on the schedule, and we'll have Howard pick the Bills, which, of course, get ready for that. I feel like he's going to go 15-2 for this. Jeremy and Joe, your phone calls next at 803-0550 here on WGR.
Whether it's Kincaid or Coleman or, Shakir.
I mean, for me, though, it would be Coleman.
Who you'd want to see break out the most.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, if Kincaid broke out, I do think it would be valuable, very valuable to this offense, and you can win that way. But if Coleman broke out...
If Coleman became a top 15 receiver in the league, the Bills would be monsters.
With the type of player he is, too, with the jump balls, and, I mean, I was reading Ben Solak the other day. Actually, I think Marcus Mosher had him quoted in here. Basically, that Coleman, like, one of the most exciting things about his profile going forward is his ability with the ball in his hands. That you get him the ball in space, and he's got wiggle, and he's got ability to break away from people. Like, he can be a good receiver when it comes to yards after catch. But he wasn't really asked to do that very much in his rookie season, so that's a question, too. But for me, Coleman would be the answer. If Coleman broke out and became a top 15 receiver in the NFL, that's the element of their offense they didn't have last year.
Yeah, someone they can trust outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I've got others that can do some of the job that Kincaid does. So Coleman, I feel like, he's kind of it. In terms of that boundary, can you do more down the field? Can you run all the routes, route tree stuff? Like if he can figure out a way to become good at all of that, Shakir's a great player, but is a little bit limited. And Samuel has been a good player in the past, but he's a little bit limited as a skill set. So I would answer Coleman.
On the schedule, maybe you remember things we've said, maybe you don't remember things we've said. I remember one thing I've said a lot about the Bills and where they live right now, which is I said I want the life the Steelers used to have, not the football team, but the life. And the life was you're in all these big games all the time. And the Bills have taken that life. Opening the season at home against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
As the game of the week, one of them for sure. I mean, Eagles-Cowboys is decent. Chargers-Chiefs is pretty good. But Ravens-Bills, they're giving you game of the week status in week 1.
Yeah.
The last 2 MVPs, and then primetime week 3, primetime week 5, 425s all up and down the schedule. It's a little bit about the timing. Really what it is how many times is the country going to tune in and say, man, I can't wait to watch this game. And that is the life of the Bills right now.
I think it is definitively the best game of week 1.
Probably.
There's not many that can really top it, but it's better in terms of being a matchup.
Two teams.
Better than Cowboys and Eagles. It's better than Chiefs and Eagles. It's certainly better than Vikings and Bears. The 4:25 game is Lions and Packers. That might be the one that comes closest.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Schedule's out for the Bills and the rest of the NFL. The Bills have a bunch of night games early. 4 night games in the first 6 weeks, including Week 1 against Baltimore at home on Sunday Night Football. In fact, the first 3 of those night games are at home. Home Miami, Thursday night, Week 3. Home New England, Sunday night, Week 5. But then they are on the road at Atlanta, Week 6 for Monday Night Football. The final game at Highmark Stadium in the regular season will be against the Jets in Week 18. Find the whole schedule on our website, WGR550.com. Schedule release here on WGR is presented by Window Nation. To hockey, last night you had the Maple Leafs getting blown out by the Panthers 6-1. Florida's won 3 in a row, leads the series 3-2. Oilers win to win the series in 5 over Vegas. Kasperi Kapanen scores the winner in OT. In the NBA, the Celtics beat the Knicks to stay alive without Jason Tatum. The Timberwolves end the Warriors season, winning that series in 5. And in the AHL, the Amherst begun their playoff series last night. They lose game one, to the Rockets. So down 1-0 in the series. Game 2's Friday in Rochester. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership.
And the Baltimore Ravens have reached an agreement on a 2-year, $30 million extension that includes $25 million fully guaranteed over the next 2 seasons. It is the largest deal in NFL history for a running back over 30 years old. Okay, however you qualify it for being a big deal, sweet, running back position back, and here we are a year later after a successful run, and that is the case. Remember, at the beginning of the season, Harbaugh said, we're not running a 30-year-old Derrick Henry 20 times a game. Like, that is not how we're going to win. And as the season went on, it was like, yeah, we are actually going to feed this guy. He's a special athlete. He takes care of himself. He's committed to the profession. What a perfect fit over there in Baltimore.
Derrick Henry ran 16 for 84 and a touchdown in the last matchup with the Bills on the divisional round, a game that the Bills won. So
remember, Derrick Henry, by the way, has that weird diet where he doesn't eat until 4 o'clock p.m.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not remember that. I did not know that.
He eats like a banana like before practice, but like during the season, I think he doesn't eat until like 4 or 5.
Okay.
There's some weird... I mean, Allen doesn't eat on game days, right? So there's some weird diet stuff in the league, and I think he's one of them.
Well, there's a point I wanted to make about Derrick Henry along with James Cook as well. Here you have both the Eagles and the Ravens signing big money running backs from another team as like a finishing piece.
Yeah.
And then after a year, just deciding, how about we just give you a raise? They didn't have to do that. It is kind of funny how the young running back in the form of Cook, he's not proven it, I wouldn't dispute that, to the level of Henry or Barkley, and he's definitely not on that tier of player. But when you're young and on that rookie deal, it's, you go out and prove it. And here in this case with Henry and Barkley, they've done so much that their teams are just tripping on themselves to give him more money.
What I will say, though, that might be a little bit different is what I don't know if the Eagles accomplished this, but with Henry's on a bigger contract, $8 million. It's not 20.
Right.
But an extension for him might lower his cap hit this year. Right. Whereas with Cook, because it's a rookie deal, I don't know how much you're really accomplishing that. So him going into a contract year, maybe the Ravens are trying to save themselves some space. They just had a safety. Then their starting safety just tears Achilles out for the year.
Yep.
So maybe they're about to go bring in some veteran safety. They need a little space. Whereas Cook, I'll have to look what Cook's number is, but I don't think you're really saving much if you were to extend him right now.
No, his cap hit is not very big right now. It's 5.7, so you would probably get that down. But whatever. I don't think the Bills would be motivated to do that necessarily for the cap hit sake. You would do it just because you want to get him locked up. It was enough to get me looking at free agent running backs next year, just to say these two good to great teams decided, let's go hit the free agent market. Who's the next running back that becomes available that is thought of this way? There really aren't many. It's Breece Hall. It's James Cook. That's another point about what the Bills decide to do with Cook. You could say next man up. You could say draft one. You could say free agency, whatever it might be. There are positions, of course, that they will commit to. There are positions that they will decide this is worth it. This money is worth it. And where have they done that? Where have they said it's worth paying this guy one of the top salaries in the league? They've done it at center.
I was just gonna say center is the first thing.
They did it at
They made Mitch Morse the highest paid center ever at the time.
They did it with receiver. They did it with Diggs when they gave him his extension. They of course did it with Allen.
They've done it with edge rusher with Vaughn.
Edge rusher, huge contract at edge. A lot of their moves are proactive. When will they, in free agency, again, dip into the time to pay as much as it takes? This offseason's done, so it'll all depend on how this season goes. But it kind of makes me think, when Henry was available, we didn't really talk about them signing Derrick Henry.
Not really.
And Baltimore did it, and it has worked out for them, and now they just extended him again, so we'll see how long that lasts.
I mean, that could be through the trade market, too. Jonathan Taylor, after this year, has no guaranteed money on the final year of his deal, and the Colts could be, blowing things up. He'll be 27. So that would qualify, wouldn't it? You want to go trade for Jonathan Taylor and make him a $17 million a year running back and do that instead of James Cook?
The position gets paid at the top. You could talk a lot about replacements and how easy it is to replace, and I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah.
But at the top, it's getting paid. Probably because it got behind in terms of the market value.
I might expect the next time they do that, they go whale hunting and they decide, okay, we're going to go back, we're going to pay this top of the market value to get it here, I'm just going to bet on it being edge rusher every time.
Yeah.
That maybe it's not Trey Hendrickson here because of the timing and because it's the Bengals you'd have to trade with, but a guy like that, where, okay, this edge rusher is going to cost you $30 million a year, and that's the position you're targeting. It might just end up being Joey Bosa. If Joey
he has a great year?
Yeah, like I think they'll probably slow play him and make sure he's healthy for the playoffs, but if he comes out and is just amazing and has 15 sacks and he's one of the best, looks like one of the best edge rushers in the league, then they'll have to decide, do they want to keep him? And after a year like that, you might have to pay him huge money. Right?
Yeah.
And that'll be an interesting test if that's to happen. You'll be happy if that's test ends up coming because he had a great year. Because I would think if that situation plays out where Bosa hits the ceiling for what he could be in 2025, that they will lock him up. That if it costs $20 million plus to keep him around, maybe close to 30 if he has like a huge season, that's what they want. They want the star pass rusher. They've been chasing it, and if they have it here, that they're not going to let it slip.
803-0550 and 1-888-552-550. The schedule release videos. Every team does one, right? And who won? Maybe you'd spend your time watching these. The Bills I liked the Bills. It was good.
Allen Iverson.
It was AI. Bean and Allen talking about have AI do the schedule release video. Have AI do it. And then they cut to Allen Iverson, which was pointed out to me this morning on Twitter. Is that Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady that make a call?
Oh.
How do they get AI?
Gotta be.
Right? Hey, hold on a second.
I mean,
let me make a call. I got his number.
Would Josh Allen just have Allen Iverson's number in his phone?
Possible.
He could.
In the video, Iverson basically says, I'll do it because of Josh Allen. So
I bet you're right, though, that the Vince Carter maybe or McGrady are the ones that make the call
maybe.
There.
He
would not say go Bills at the end.
Yeah.
He kind of smiled because I think he's a Philly guy, so he's probably...
He want to say go Birds.
Yeah, so they're like, can we get a go Bills? And he smiles, and he said go Josh Allen.
All right, fair enough.
So that's enough, I guess.
I've not seen all 32 NFL schedule reveal videos.
Did you get a hold of the Colts one before they deleted it?
I did. That was a Minecraft one. It was kind of funny. But
the Chargers also did Minecraft.
That's right, they did. But it's over because the Titans won. The Titans...
and they already have the GOAT of this, which was the fans standing on Broadway guessing the team name. Yeah. So the Titans are the champions.
Again, it's a dynasty. The Titans are a dynasty. The Titans treated it like a drug commercial, like a pharmaceutical commercial. Mm-hmm. Did you see it, Josh? You got to see it.
It's so good.
Owen, you got to see it. The first part of it is fine. Schedule Rizzy is what it's called, this drug, and people are throwing a football around. And then they list the side effects, and basically what the side effects are, I won't spoil it for everybody, it's they list the teams they're playing, and then they identify them with a side effect.
Yep.
So the Chiefs logo shows up, and they say, nausea. And on and on and on, and it is, you can't do better. You can't do better.
Yeah. The Chargers, I will give applause to, though. They every year come with something that's at least a little bit spicy.
Last year was anime. Right? A couple years ago.
This year they did their Minecraft, and within the video, it goes to a Starbucks where there's a Minecraft version of Jordan Schultz and a Minecraft version of Ian Rappaport. And they start fighting.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Which is pretty good.
One quirk of the schedule. Make this the stat of the day, right? Let's do a stat of the day. Brought to you by Empire Electric. Your residential neighborhood electrician. Visit empireelectricians.com. Stat of the day is that we are getting a game for the first time since 2006. Mm-hmm. There is a matchup of what? There's a fun one.
Since 2006?
For the first time since 2006, we will have a matchup of what?
That's
19 years since this happened.
The last two Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, last two MVPs. I don't know.
Left-handed quarterbacks.
Oh.
Two left-handed quarterbacks will start a game for the first time since 2006.
Wait a minute. Interesting. So Tua and Penix?
Yep.
Okay. 2006 is the last time this happened? Ooh, I want to get this.
Yes. You can get one of them. I don't think you'll get the other.
Matt Leinart?
No.
Okay. Michael Vick.
Yes.
And
I did not remember this guy to be left-handed.
oh well, that's crazy. You gotta anyone that's left-handed, you would know them as left-handed.
I mean, I don't remember this guy throwing a pass. He did, presumably. He did a lot.
Can I get the team?
Bucks.
Wow, that wasn't helpful at all. Tampa, lefty.
Not Steve Young.
Thank you. Josh Freeman wasn't a lefty. 2006.
2006.
Is this guy like a career backup?
No, I feel like he started and then he was done.
He started and then he was done.
I could be wrong about that.
Highly drafted?
No.
No.
Third round pick, maybe. Son of another NFL quarterback.
Oh, Chris Sims?
Chris Sims.
Okay.
Vic and
So
Sims.
I do remember him as a lefty, but...
First matchup of lefty quarterback since 2006.
Wow.
There you go. Howard picks the Bills at the top of the hour. The first official picking of the Bills. If he doesn't go 16-1, people are going to be mad. We got expectations this year, people. We'll get to that. Jeremy and Joe on WGR. Jeremy Way here to talk about Russell's Tree and Shrub Farm, to tell you about You've been looking up also the context of teams that are the best in the league at turnovers and what they do the next year. Like
Yes.
how sustainable that is as an idea.
So I've got that since 2015. So you're going back a decade. The list of teams that have led the league in turnovers. Every single team that has led the league in turnovers since 2016 has had an increase in turnovers the next year. And I think only one team has repeated as like the league leader in that front. So, yeah, when I talk about, hey, they're probably still going to be really good at not turning the ball over, they're still going to have more than they did last year. I mean, 8 is not the total, is it? 8 might be, I got to find, 8 is the differential. Whatever, I had the numbers a week ago. Here it is. It's an average increase of 7 year to year by these teams that have led the league. And some of them are going up by 10. And like Minnesota, that was a couple years ago. They go up by 10 turnovers. And like that's not actually that bad. That's not what they ended up with. But it's an average increase of 7. There it is. And the teams that have led the league in turnovers, not turning the ball over, I should say, in the last decade, the next year their average increase is 7 turnovers.
Okay.
So the Bills go up by 7. They're still going to be one of the better teams in the league. But, 7 turnovers, spread them out throughout games. That makes 5, 6, 7 games a lot more difficult just on that one play because those are huge plays. That Lamar play was like, thinking back in the playoff game.
The win percentage drop or whatever it is.
Even more than that, I think the EPA was like a -8 on that play. Some of that's because Vaughn returned it. But
They're
it was,
in field
it was
goal
like
range,
Yeah, it was like a -8. It was the most impactful play of the game by EPA.
Look, I wrote a reaction article at WGR550.com. We went on last night, Matt Bovey and I. It's always game day in Buffalo. And it was a big thing for me after just digesting it. And I think a lot of Bills fans share this sentiment, especially if you get through game one, right? But whatever, include game one. I mean, guys, the first 7 weeks of the Bills, they have such an opportunity here. I did the math last night, and I wrote it up. After week 1 against the Ravens, the Bills' next 6 games, the opponent's record last year combined 35-67. None made the playoffs. None were over 500. I mean, they 5-2 to me has to be the minimum expectation not only that you should even clear that, maybe 6-1. I mean, I just think, yes, anything can happen, but this is an opportunity for them over their first 7 games. And oh, by the way, while they're without Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi through the stretch, like, doesn't matter to me. You need to go out there, and this is a stretch where until you get to that Kansas City game, you're facing 7 teams outside of the Ravens, then 6 other teams that really give you opportunity.
Yeah, as you lay that out, it strikes me that really the Bills in this the 1 seed conversation that we've had for 5 years really now, the Bills have never been playing with the lead. Never. It's always been catch-up mode, right? Like you're a game back of the Chiefs or you're 2 games back of Tennessee or whatever. Whereas the way the schedule sets up, especially if you're able to beat Baltimore in week 1, Sal, I mean, I'll have to look at the Chiefs schedule too and see, I don't want to make this point and like they have the same easy stretch. But it feels like if the Bills can take week 1, I mean, the odds are that they're going to have control of the 1 seed if they can grab it.
Agreed, and actually, I'll do it for you, Joe. I'll tell you, the Chiefs have a pretty tough stretch. In fact, they play the Ravens in week 4. They'll play each other.
Okay.
They also play the Eagles. They play the Chargers. They play the Lions. They play the Commanders on Monday Night Football before coming to Buffalo on a short week, right? That's going to be a big game for the for the 1 seed. The Ravens might have one of the toughest starts in the league. After the Bills, they get the Browns, but then they get the Lions, the Chiefs, the Texans, the Rams before they have a bye week. So you're right. I mean, if the Bills, especially if you get that game against Baltimore.
Hey, in just over a month, we'll be riding in the Ride for Roswell. Bulldog, I'll be involved, Jeremy as well. Saturday, June 28th, and you can join us. And once you do join our team, you'll receive an email to pick up your team T-shirt and water bottle at Tom's Pro Bikes on Walden Avenue in Lancaster. And if you're not riding, you can still support the cause by donating to our team. Help us reach our goal of $10,000 before the ride. Visit WGR550.com for details.
Schedule release.
Ooh, Ricky Fowler. What are we doing with the fit here? I don't like the hat.
He's all right. PGA Championship's underway. And Rory, Scheffler, and Schauffele is what we've got it
in about a half hour.
Very good.
Yep.
Out there at Valhalla.
Kepka and Ricky Fowler just hit the course. They're on 1. If
you want to know if you have any questions about the course here and how to play it, you can ask me. I toured it. Simulator. Don't ask me much about the fairways, though. I didn't see too many of those. I saw a lot of the trees, yeah. A lot of the trees.
I just saw one of those tweets where I'm thinking this is probably a joke, but making sure it's not actually real. Andrew Erickson, who's one of the top fantasy guys, just tweeted about week 1, how it's Cardinals and Saints, and how Kyler Murray losing to his elder Tyler Shuck would be so on brand. There's no way Tyler Shuck's actually older than Kyler Murray, right?
He's 25. September 28th.
Kyler Murray's got to be 25. Kyler Murray's 27.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's not that far off.
So so it is a joke.
It is a joke, but it's not that far off.
Right. Week 17 fantasy matchups, there's a lot of good ones. I mean, Eagles, Bills, that's this fantasy championship game. Eagles, Bills, Cowboys, Commanders.
Yeah.
Good stuff in there for the fantasy folks out there. All right, we're going to break in. Howard is going to pick the Bills. He'll be in and do that. I believe he's coming in. I didn't actually confirm he's coming in. Maybe he's on the phone. We'll find out Who's ready to be
One
surprised?
way or another, there are going to be Bills games picked.
That's right.
By Howard.
Who's ready to be surprised? Howard picks the Bills coming up. So how do you like it? How do you like the schedule? Give us a ring. It's finally out. If you're one of these people that says, hey, just let me know when the schedule actually comes out. Hey, it's out. What do you think? I think the best starting point is, what do you think of Baltimore as the opener? Did we want to do a little better there? Do you like that?
No, I mean, it's good. I mean, it's too good. Sometimes you get week one and you think, all right, that game's not going to be there because that's too good of an opener. I think the matchup is awesome. I mean, it is maybe one of the toughest challenges in the league for the Bills specifically, and for anybody. But it's a little bit of an opportunity for the Ravens, too, more I would say even for the Bills, to kind of, hey, prove that the Bills got away with one in that playoff game.
Revenge game.
Yeah. Because if I were a Ravens fan, I would feel like the Bills got away with one. I would feel like Mark Andrews completely let me down, and my quarterback had a couple of moments in the first half that let me down, and that's it. That's all it took.
Yeah, you'd probably think it was a stupid game. Like, that game got stupid and we lost, and it probably should have been a better outcome.
You think somebody or couple guys screwed it up for us. For the Bills, though, and maybe what a Ravens fan wouldn't be thinking about is the litmus test that is the defense going against Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. And, okay, this Bills defense was opportunistic last year, and they got their result against the Ravens, but how did they do it? They got it by forcing him into a couple of turnovers early in the game. I mean, really only one they forced him into. The other one, he just literally put the ball on the ground. And then you forced a couple turnovers in the second half. Bernard punching the ball out from Andrews. Like, you forced them into mistakes. That's the only way they could succeed on defense last year. I want to be able to see them dominate on defense or be capable of that.
On the schedule, maybe you remember things we've said, maybe you don't remember things we've said. I remember one thing I've said a lot about the Bills and where they live right now, which is, I said I want the life the Steelers used to have. Not the football team, but the life. And the life was, you're in all these big games all the time. And the Bills have taken that life. Opening the season at home against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
As the game of the week, one of them for sure. I mean, Eagles-Cowboys is decent. Chargers-Chiefs is pretty good. But Ravens-Bills, they're giving you game of the week status in week one.
Yeah.
The last two MVPs, and then primetime week 3, primetime week 5, 425s all up and down the schedule. It's a little bit about the timing. Really what it is how many times is the country going to tune in and say, man, I can't wait to watch this game. And that is the life of the Bills right now.
I think it is definitively the best game of week one.
Probably.
There's not many that can really top it, but it's better in terms of being a matchup.
Two teams.
It's better than Cowboys and Eagles. It's better than Chiefs and Eagles. It's certainly better than Vikings and Bears. The 425 game is Lions and Packers. That might be the one that comes closest.
That's pretty good, yeah.
The Bills' schedule is in. It begins with the Ravens at home on Sunday Night Football. 4 night games in the first 6 weeks of the season. 3 of them at home. Thursday night against Miami, Week 3. Home Sunday Night Football, Week 5 against New England, and they are on the road Monday night against Atlanta in Week 6. The final game at Highmark Stadium will be Week 18 against the New York Jets, the final regular season game. You can check out the full schedule on our website, WGR550.com. The NHL playoffs last night. Panthers over the Maple Leafs 6-1. They've won 3 games in a row and can close it out at home in Game 6. Oilers win the series over the Golden Knights in 5. They win in overtime. Kasperi Kapanen scoring a 1-0 goal. And in the NBA, the Celtics stay alive with a win over the Knicks, even though they didn't have Jason Tatum. The Warriors season comes to an end, falling to the Timberwolves in 5 games. PGA Championship is underway at Quail Hollow in Charlotte. It's very early on. There's a couple guys at 1 under par. The big hitters get rolling in about 15 minutes. 8:22. Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele all teeing off. And again, about 15 minutes. And the Amherst opened up their playoff round 2 last night with a loss to Laval 5-4. They'll be back in action Game 2s in Rochester on Friday night. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership.
Bora Bora.
I like this music. Is that a hot take? Is that a bet? Sunday Night Football theme?
No.
It's good.
Like, would you listen to it in the car?
On the way to Sunday Night Football?
No,
Yeah.
no, just in general.
Like today?
Today. On a random day, like, do you have a playlist where that would even come up?
That's a good question. I don't have that. Would it stop me? No.
Okay.
Would it be weird if you pulled up to a traffic light today and someone's just sitting there blasting this?
I mean, really, you could just have all the songs ready to go today, just driving around.
You could.
I think I'd get pretty fired up, except for the
Fox. Would Fox get you going?
No, CBS would. Amazon would not. Don't we hate the Amazon one?
It's fine. Does Netflix have music?
I couldn't tell you. We had the sound down on Christmas last year, so I don't remember.
Howard's here. Hey, Howard, what's up?
Boys, how we doing?
We're okay.
Good.
How are you?
I'm ready for football. Joe, I'm with you. I was driving in today going, I could go for like maybe one more week off, and then let's get going.
Yeah, I'm good. A good June 1st start to the season.
Yeah, the heck with OTAs and minicamp and all that. Let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's move things up.
Let's play half the season in June and July, then you get 2 months off, and then we'll come back and play the rest of it.
There you go.
I mean,
Split season.
Although I think I just gave them off in like September and October, which are the best football months probably.
Yeah,
That's true. That's
a
true.
Good point. Yeah.
Well, were you tracking every leak? The way yesterday went for me was, where are the leaks? Let's get some more leaks. And then 2 hours later, it was there are simply too many leaks.
I started to track it. I really did. And I'm with you. My head started to explode. Who do you believe? Who don't you believe?
Yeah.
Wait, it's one game, but I want more. So I just stopped checking until the schedule came out. Although someone told me that there was, I think it was Yards Per Pass, tweeted out the full schedule, and I think that exactly was how it played out.
Yep.
So I did look at that about a half hour before the release, and I thought, yeah, I'm good with that schedule.
Yeah, I just wanted to know the Bills schedule. And I feel like everybody on the internet should have known, don't leak me Cardinals games. I don't care. I just want the Bills schedule leaked. No.
Not sure the Cardinals fans care.
Here's Cardinals Chargers, week 12. Okay. Once if you're not, all I really wanted leaked was the important games and Christmas and
you
all
wanted
that
to
stuff.
know that you could watch your Chiefs on both Thanksgiving and Christmas, get the kids together, get the family together.
I've got a stat on that for you. The Chiefs are the first team in history to play
five
primetime games in the first 8 weeks of the season.
Good. Maybe they'll be worn down, tired, fatigued, and start losing football games. Or maybe their luck will run it. Well, it did in the Super Bowl. But anyway, I got ahead of myself.
The Chiefs are also playing on Memorial Day and the 4th of July, by the way, and Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Flag Day.
You make one road trip. Which is if you could only go to one road game?
Well, I got to be careful here because I don't want all the tee times to book up at every course, but we're trying to go to Carolina.
Shh.
But there's a lot of courses.
Keep that a secret.
We're trying.
Joe Marino's probably got
Carolina.
it in.
Listen, we talk about it with Joe. We're all trying to get to Carolina, and we're all trying to play the best courses in Carolina and see the Bills play the Panthers. In part because it also might be the kind of stadium you could actually get into.
Is Quail Hollow a public course?
No.
It is not.
There's another. North Carolina has another. Not
they have
Pine
lots.
something. No, they're like majors.
Pinehurst.
Pinehurst. That's in North Carolina.
Pinehurst.
They've got some major courses.
Tobacco Road, Pine Needles. I mean, it's just there's a million to choose from.
Past that, though, I think this is the year for the Miami trip for the average Bills fan.
Look at you.
The Miami trip, it's in November, and the road schedule in totality isn't like elite.
The fin season will be over by then.
Destinations.
Be a lot of Bills fans in the stadium.
Although it might be a good time to end their season. It depends what type of year they're having. Last year they ended the Dolphin season in week 2.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a good trip. Good. You should experience a Bills Dolphins game in Miami at some point. Everybody should.
Houston, Atlanta. Not to say I wouldn't have fun in these cities, but they're not like cities I've ever I gotta get to Atlanta someday.
Yeah, there is a crossover if you want it. Brent Axe from Syracuse pointed out that SU plays Miami the same week the Bills play Miami. So you want to go see Syracuse football and Fran Brown, you could do the back-to-back.
Will they be worth it this year?
They
lost their quarterback, right? The kid who was really good.
Yeah, maybe.
Did they get Notre Dame's backup or something, though?
They've got a couple different options.
Okay.
Who knows?
Drove by the Dome the other day, thought of you.
Thanks.
In beautiful Syracuse.
Yes.
It's always going to be the Carrier Dome, by the way.
It's lovely this time of year, Syracuse.
It is. It was very nice.
That's what I'm told.
Wait, does that mean that they'll be tearing up the field the day before in Miami?
I think they play at a different stadium. They don't play at that stadium. They play at the...
The U?
Yeah.
I thought they play at the same stadium.
Do they?
I'm pretty sure they play at the same
Is the
stadium.
Orange Bowl still in existence?
I don't know.
Where else would they play if they don't play at Hard Rock?
I'm pretty sure Miami plays their games at Hard Rock.
You're right. It is Hard Rock.
Okay,
So, yes,
there you
they will
go.
play there the day before.
All right.
Tell them to take good care of the surface.
Yeah, maybe.
Syracuse and Miami. I'm looking at the full schedule here. It is Hard Rock Stadium, November 8th.
Okay. We were talking about how the Ryder Cup almost lined up with Bills Jets, but it missed it by like 12 days.
So stay
Yeah,
on
the next thing that could line up is when the hockey schedule comes out. Like, could you match up a couple times with the Hurricanes? And no, that'll be October 26th. There'll be games there for Carolina, so we could do all that. Yeah. One thing, if anybody thinks this way, it's kind of like the draft. We have all our mock drafts, then the draft happens, and then the next day somebody posts the following year's mock draft. So I'm just going to do that. Next year's opponents.
Oh my God. We're not picking 2 years worth of games, are we?
I'm just going to tell you next year's opponents.
Yeah.
You're thinking, should we have a big road trip this year? The road schedule's not that great. Next year, the Bills go to Vegas.
Oh, nice.
They go to Denver.
Very lovely city.
Green Bay.
Never been there? I feel like you should go to Lambeau at one point.
Minnesota.
Very good.
And then the crossovers, the AFC South and the NFC West. The South, probably not going to be anybody too exciting. But the NFC West, that could be the Rams.
Who are in Australia.
And that could be
next year.
Australia.
Ooh, that would be a nice trip.
Or that could be a return trip to, what? Arizona, San Francisco,
No international
Seattle.
game this year, so they'll get one next year then, right?
Probably, yeah.
Makes sense to send Josh Allen and the Bills somewhere international.
Yeah. And coming here next year, Lions, Chiefs again, Bears, Chargers.
Yeah, because we have a bet on what the first game at the new stadium will be.
That's right. I forgot about that bet.
Wow.
I've got Chiefs, Patriots, Jets, and Bears. Are the Bears on there? Who would they play the North? Right?
Yep.
And then you have Dolphins, Chargers, Lions, and whoever the AFC North opponent is.
Yeah.
How do you like that?
I'd be the Chiefs, right? Bills, Chiefs, first game ever.
Chiefs. That is over.
It's a bad pick.
Come on. Thursday night season opener, Bills hosting Chiefs. It's a must.
803-0550 if you want to chime in. All right, Howard's going to pick the Bills. We've been, dawdling long enough.
And by the way, so I was just reading Cynthia Freeland in the break. She just had her projections. She has the Bills at 11.4 wins.
Over.
That point 4 is going to be tough.
I think Howard will have them over. The point 4 will be tough.
You never know. What if they're going like 9-8, huh? Just when you think you know the answers.
Go ahead. You pick them to go 9-8 right now.
I change the questions.
All right, let's do it. Howard picks the Bills.
A tradition unlike any other.
We remodeled our family room. We got rid of all the furniture, pulled up the carpets. We're redoing the whole room, which makes it inaccessible. She said, "Can I watch the game with you Sunday?" And of course I said no.
It's time for Howard to pick the Bills!
I don't want to do that. What? Can't I just sit in the corner and drink?
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Okay, first edition 2025 pick of the Bills. Here we go. It's a juicy one right off the bat. Baltimore.
Do we like a Sunday Night Football home opener?
We love it.
And have we prepared have you gone through your menu for all your home game tailgates?
No. We don't have time to make food anymore.
Really?
No. All we do is make mac and cheese, and we don't have time for
Cheerios.
food.
No crab cakes.
Dry
opener?
Cheerios on the menu.
Cheerios.
Yeah.
No,
I think we're probably past
no
that.
time for food.
I'm.
How do you like the matchup?
Yeah, I think I'm okay with this. I think I don't know that Baltimore's going to have some questions on defense. I know they added DeAndre Hopkins. I just saw they re-signed or extended Derrick Henry. So I think their offense is still going to be really good. I would say I think this is a really cool game to open up the season with. It's the toughest game of the first, month and a half, 2 months in the schedule. I will take the Bills because you can't open the season at home with a loss to the Ravens. They're going to beat Baltimore. Sunday Night Football, final year at the stadium. Everybody will be pumped. That's a big win.
One thing I'll say, we got into this a little bit earlier. Watching a return trip, for Baltimore here, two things you want out of that game. You want the defense to play better because they gave up 10 yards per pass in that game. They did get 3 turnovers, but they got carved up defensively.
Well, the run defense in the first meeting last year wasn't exactly
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that playoff game, offensively, they did not do very much.
Right.
Joe had it up here. Allen hit Shakir on a 3rd and 8 on the first drive. And after that, the Bills' passing game did nothing. They had 127 yards passing on the day. Allen was bottled up. The offense did not run or pass well. They got a couple turnovers. They got the job done, of course. But a Baltimore matchup is a challenge on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, it's a good, the Bills made big moves to overhaul their defense and make it better. We'll know right away if some of those moves paid off. Granted, the 2 guys are suspended, but you still have everybody else on defense to face Lamar Jackson. So, yeah, I'll take the Bills.
Yeah, by the way, that game on that chart, so that one pass to Shakir early, Josh never completed a pass that traveled more than 7 yards in the air the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Yikes. Did not know that.
Very short.
Keep a win, though.
Bills win over Baltimore. At the Jets, Justin Fields.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Glenn, okay. I just think that Jets keep trotting out guys that just don't move the needle for me. I don't know that Justin Fields is going to do that well. They lost DJ Reed. Their offensive line. I just don't see the Jets doing much of anything this season, so I will take the Bills to win.
Bills win 2-0. Thursday Night Football, home against Miami.
This is the end of the Mike McDaniel era with the Dolphins, right? This is it.
I think so.
They have to actually make the playoffs and probably win a playoff game because all they do is lose to good teams on their schedule.
And they're not exactly set up to be that team this year, I don't think.
No. Are they still going to trade Jalen Ramsey? Is he still there, by the way?
They've made it sound like if they can't trade him, they will find a way to cut him. So, yeah.
All right, well, their cornerback depth is very bad. They lost Javon Holland. I love the pick of Kenneth Grant. I think their defensive line will be really good, but it's Miami, and they can't beat good teams. And Josh owns the Dolphins, so chalk up a win for the Bills.
Win started 3-0. Home against the New Orleans Saints. What will the spread be?
It might be 20.
Wow. I mean, Bills by 45.
That's a party game.
I'll take the Bills.
Bills win 4-0. Home New England Sunday Night Football.
I like the coaching hire. I'm not a huge Vrabel guy, but let's face it, he's an upgrade over what they had. And I really liked some things I saw in Drake May last year. This is, of course, the Stephon Diggs and Mac Hollins revenge game.
Oh, yeah.
But I think New England will be improved. I know they spent a ton of money. They tried to help out their defense. I think they will be better, but they're certainly not in the class of the Bills. Take the Bills to win the game.
Bills win. I'm looking for any other former Bill on this roster that's a little further down the depth chart, but I don't see any.
Alex Austin. I don't know.
Who?
Cornerback Alex Austin, was he with the Bills?
They drafted him in the 6th round.
Okay.
That hardly qualifies. So.
Okay, there you go.
I was looking this up the other day. I'm not just walking around with that information.
Remember this guy.
Yeah.
Bills win. Back to the schedule. At Atlanta, Monday Night Football heading to the bye.
Did you know another revenge game? Falcons added Leonard Floyd.
Oh, okay.
Spend some draft picks to help their pass rush. I will tell you this. 2 things here. One, I was always a Michael Penix fan in college, and I thought he was really good. And I like to throw a curveball every now and then, so I'll take the Falcons to win this game.
Michael Penix.
Wow.
I always like
Yikes.
to keep the Bills fans from getting too cocky. You got to keep them grounded, so I'll throw a loss in there.
This is also does Ray McLeod have a big day?
Oh, yeah. He'll probably, is he still doing returns?
He's there. He's listed as their kick returner.
Yeah, he'll return a touchdown. He'll
Okay,
return a kick,
wow.
yeah.
Bills lose to Atlanta.
The bye is coming up. They made vacation plans. Friday, when I worked with you, Friday shows before I went on vacation, you probably covered 3.5 of the 4 hours. I mean, I mailed it in. So, yeah, I'll take a loss.
Out of the bye week at Carolina.
Well, the Bills have never lost out of the bye week, right? Under Sean McDermott?
I think so, yeah. Yep.
So let's continue that. I think there will be tons of Bills fans in the crowd at Carolina. And Carolina's defense was poo last year. Can you say poo on the air?
I think
they were
so.
really bad. I like Bryce Young. I thought he made some really nice strides last year, but their defense should get just crushed by the Bills.
Bills win. Home Kansas City. We begin the 425 slate.
Chiefs are done, right? The Chiefs era is over, right? Wasn't the Super Bowl the official beginning of the end?
Do you think that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. I mean, they'll still
you
win.
might.
They'll win their
I'm
division,
not
but
sure
I
if you're
mean,
serious.
they'll win their division. But I don't think we look at Kansas City as the gold standard anymore. I don't.
That's going to be an interesting thing to track this year.
I mean,
What they were last
they
year.
were
To me,
so
if
their
there's-
margin of error last year was so far.
If they have the same season they did last year, they're not going to win 15 games.
Right?
I agree with that,
They're
but
going to win 10.
they had a fatal flaw built in,
That's true.
and do they still have it? The offensive line?
Well,
their offensive line was
changed,
a mess.
Right.
I know.
They
And
brought
they-
in.
they
They changed their tackle spot. Who
They
signed?
lost. They got rid of Joe Thuney, and they brought in the dude from San Francisco. The reaction when they signed him was, this guy's not very good, and you overpaid him.
And they
And they
drafted
tagged-
their first-round pick
but
was a
that
tackle.
guy,
They
people
tagged
like.
Trey Smith.
They like the rookie, though. He just has injury stuff.
And they drafted wide receiver Jalen Royals, right?
Among
I like
Browns,
him.
yeah.
Anyway, I think the Bills will win. I mean, it's the regular season. They always beat the Chiefs.
This would be 5 in a row.
Is that what it would be?
They would beat the Chiefs in the regular season.
Wow. I'll take. Yeah, I'll take.
I mean, Andy Reid's not showing his stuff, though. Of course they're going to win.
Well, let's hope they don't play him in the playoffs again. I can't handle it.
The Chiefs win offensive line, 2 pieces on the defensive line, a
Yep.
corner, a wide receiver, linebacker, running back. Yeah.
I don't. Rashi Rice is probably back by then, if he even is suspended.
Hollywood Brown resign. He's still there, right?
Hollywood Brown, Rashi Rice, Xavier Worthy would if everyone's healthy, would be their 3 receiver duo for that game.
Sure. Whatever, we'll probably have plenty of time to talk about the Chiefs. I do not think that they are done. I think what we just watched was 2 straight years where they were very gettable.
Yeah.
And the Bills didn't get them.
Nobody got him. Well, that's not good.
The Eagles got them.
That's troubling.
But the Bills, should be, of course. You picking the Bills to win?
Yeah.
Bills win. Bills beat the Chiefs. At Miami.
Sweep.
Home Tampa, 1 o'clock.
I think Tampa's a strange team. You know what? I was thinking about this game, and I was thinking a lot about the game here a couple years ago, which was a major struggle before they beat them by, 1 touchdown? It's an ugly game. I think that's one of those games that you think there's no way the Bills are going to lose, and I think Tampa comes in here and sneaks out with a win.
2 NFC South losses. All right.
At Houston, Thursday Night Football.
Houston, they had to be disappointed, right? They were like the trendy pick after 2 years ago, and then they were kind of disappointing last year. I mean, they did have some really
offensive line.
injury issues at wide receiver, their offensive line, and I think they've tried to address some of that in the offseason. Their defense was still really good, and they definitely went out to try and bolster their wide receiving core. I think Houston will bounce back. That is a short week and a road game. I think that's a tough thing to pull off against a good team, which should win their division. I will take the Texans.
Wow. All right. At Pittsburgh, 425. Likely Aaron
Who's
Rodgers.
quarterbacking?
Don't you dare pick
You're
this
going to go
game.
with?
It's going to be Aaron Rodgers.
Doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's the Steelers. The Steelers will do what they always do. They'll finish over 500. They might make the playoffs, but they won't be very good at all. So I'll take the Bills.
The Steelers' schedule is almost the same as it was last year, where it starts off nice and soft, and they're going to get to like 5-2, and people will talk about them as being good.
Yeah.
Their close of the season, they close starting in week. Let's go to week 10. Chargers, Bengals, Bears, Bills, Ravens, Dolphins, Lions, Browns, Ravens.
Woo! The Browns is the easiest game in there.
Yeah.
But there's not. Wow, that's tough.
They open Jets, Seahawks, Patriots, Vikings, Browns.
Okay, so they could get some steam going there.
Watch them get to 6-3, Is Pittsburgh contending? Tomlin's doing it again.
Yep.
9-8.
He'll be all banged up by that stretch anyway.
All right, so Bills over the Steelers.
Yes, sir.
Home Cincinnati.
For those keeping track at home, 9-3 he's got by the
This
way.
game, Burrow, obviously Joe Burrow scares me, but it comes down again to their defense and whether their defense will be trash like it was last year. I'm going to say it can't be as bad as it was. I mean, right? Weren't they losing games like scoring 30-plus points and losing games?
It could be. I mean, it's tough to
Hendrickson
be
is
as
still
bad as
there,
they
right?
were.
Hendrickson's not like sitting out or anything, right?
He said he's not playing on this contract.
Ooh.
So
well, that would change things.
They have a dilemma.
They did go heavy in the draft on defense, so maybe those guys help them improve a little bit. I am actually going to pick the Bengals in this game.
Bengals.
That's 3
largely based on Joe Burrow, but this will be a great test of, hey, the Bills tried to fix their defense in the offseason. How do you do it against Joe Burrow?
3 out of 4 losses.
Can I ask you, they got 3 out of 4 losses. They are, 9-5?
9-4.
9-4. They're 9-4 with 4 games to go. What is it that is happening here? Why are they losing?
I think it's you guys and your negativity, personally. My guess is this show is just crushing these guys at this point, and it probably is weighing on them.
Yeah, right.
Mentally.
That might be right.
Why are they losing? I would say it's still the defense would be the biggest issue at that point.
At New England.
Sweep.
Sweep, win.
Yeah, I think they'll run the division table. Basically.
At Cleveland.
I mean, could they be more of a tire fire than they were last year? Yes.
Who starts for the Browns? Shedeur Sanders?
Such a good question.
Flacco? Flacco's done
1?
by then, right? Yeah, Shedeur Sanders. Why not?
Home Philly.
That's tough because everybody's talking about why did they put that game at the end of the season? Would it mean anything for both teams? So I understand all that. It isn't. What happened to you? We don't close with 3 division games anymore. That's not a. I will take the. I'll take the Bills. Revenge for the loss in overtime in Philadelphia a couple years ago, whenever it was.
So the record is 11-5 right now.
11-4 going into the final game of the season.
Well, we're missing one because there's 17 games.
12-4.
12-4.
12-4.
Yeah.
Yep.
12-4. The losses to Atlanta, Tampa, Houston, and Cincinnati.
Yes.
So 11-4. 12-4.
Yeah.
Does a win over the Jets, 13-4, mean the first round bye? Does 13-4 get a bye?
I don't think so. Well,
you would have
Houston. Houston's going to win, right? Kansas City will win their division.
The good news is
you have wins over Baltimore and Kansas City.
So maybe it will.
Maybe it will. Maybe they'll have a tiebreaker.
And those 2 teams both, in my opinion, have tougher division slates.
Yep. So Bills, Jets, you're picking?
I'll take the Bills.
13-4 with some surprising losses. But, I mean, everybody would probably take 13-4.
Oh, I'm sure I'll hear about the surprising losses. Someone will yell at me for ruining their trip to Atlanta.
Yeah. I would bet you're favored for the 1 seed.
Did you guys make official picks yourselves? Have you kicked around a number at all?
Not really.
I picked the Patriots.
So you're just hanging me out to dry every time we do this?
Yeah, we're not allowed to pick the Bills. You have copyright or trademark on that.
I'll sell it to you.
I'm broke.
Franchising. You're broke?
I'm broke.
Aren't you saving up for college?
No.
Okay, don't worry. You got a few years.
Yeah.
All right. Nice to see you, boys.
Thank you.
As well.
I'll see you at training camp or whatever. We'll talk in the summer.
Sounds good.
All right.
Howard picks the Bills, 13-4. I do like that question about the Chiefs. Maybe we'll kick that around. It's like the idea that do people think they're done? Or that they are not the same anymore?
I got a good thought on that.
All right. 803-0550. Not the gold standard anymore. In that case, who is? Jeremy and Joe. Thank you, Howard. We'll back in a moment. Wide open phone lines. What do you think? Howard overplay it, underplay it, 13-4 on Howard Picks the Bills.
Look, I wrote a reaction article at WGR550.com. We went on last night, Matt Bovey and I. It's always game day in Buffalo. And a big thing for me after just digesting it, and I think a lot of Bills fans share this sentiment, especially if you get through game 1, right? But whatever, include game 1. I mean, guys, the first 7 weeks of the Bills, they have such an opportunity here. I did the math last night, and I wrote it up. After week 1 against the Ravens, the Bills' next 6 games, The opponent's record last year combined 35-67. None made the playoffs. None were over 500. I mean, they 5-2 to me has to be the minimum expectation. Not only that you should even clear that, maybe 6-1. I mean, I just think, yes, anything can happen, but this is an opportunity for them over their first 7 games. And, oh, by the way, while they're without Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi through the stretch, like, doesn't matter to me. You need to go out there, and this is a stretch where until you get to that Kansas City game, you're facing 7 teams outside of the Ravens, then 6 other teams that really give you opportunity.
Yeah, as you lay that out, it strikes me that really the Bills in this the 1 seed conversation that we've had for 5 years really now, the Bills have never been playing with the lead. Never. It's always been catch-up mode, right? Like you're a game back of the Chiefs or you're 2 games back of Tennessee or whatever, whereas the way the schedule sets up, especially if you're able to beat Baltimore in week 1, Sal, I mean, I'll have to look at the Chiefs schedule too and see, I don't want to make this point and like they have the same easy stretch, but it feels like if the Bills can take week 1, I mean, the odds are that they're going to have control of the 1 seed if they can grab it.
Agreed, and actually, I'll do it for you, Joe. I'll tell you, the Chiefs have a pretty tough stretch. In fact, they play the Ravens in week 4. They'll play each other.
Okay.
They also play the Eagles. They play the Chargers. They play the Lions. They play the Commanders on Monday Night Football before coming to Buffalo on a short week, right? That's going to be a big game for the for the 1 seed. The Ravens might have one of the toughest starts in the league. After the Bills, they get the Browns, but then they get the Lions, the Chiefs, the Texans, the Rams before they have a bye week. So you're right. I mean, if the Bills, especially if you get that game against Baltimore.
So how do you like it? How do you like the schedule? Give us a ring. It's finally out. If you're one of these people that says, hey, just let me know when the schedule actually comes out. Hey, it's out. What do you think? I think the best starting point is, what do you think of Baltimore as the opener? Did we want to do a little better there? Do you like that?
No, I mean, it's good. I mean, it's too good? Sometimes you get week 1 and you think, all right, that game's not going to be there because that's too good of an opener. I think the matchup is awesome. I mean, it is maybe one of the toughest challenges in the league for the Bills specifically and for anybody. But it's a little bit of an opportunity for the Ravens, too, more I would say even for the Bills to kind of, hey, prove that the Bills got away with one in that playoff game.
Revenge game.
Yeah. Because if I were a Ravens fan, I would feel like the Bills got away with one. I would feel like Mark Andrews completely let me down, and my quarterback had a couple of moments in the first half that let me down, and that's it. That's all it took.
Yeah, you'd probably think it was a stupid game. Like, that game got stupid, and we lost, and it probably should have been a better outcome.
You think somebody or couple guys screwed it up for us. For the Bills, though, and maybe what a Ravens fan wouldn't be thinking about is the litmus test that is the defense going against Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Mm-hmm. And, okay, this Bills defense was opportunistic last year, and they got their result against the Ravens, but how did they do it? They got it by forcing him into a couple of turnovers early in the game. I mean, really only one they forced him into. The other one, he just literally put the ball on the ground. And then you forced a couple turnovers in the second half. Bernard punching the ball out from Andrews. Like, you forced them into mistakes. That's the only way they could succeed on defense last year. I want to be able to see them like dominate on defense or be capable of that. The schedule's out for the Buffalo Bills and the entire NFL. Yesterday at 8 o'clock, it was unveiled officially. The Bills have 4 night games in their first 6 weeks, 3 of them at home, including the opener against Baltimore on Sunday Night Football, Sunday, September 7th. The final game at the stadium will be Week 18 against the New York Jets. You can get the whole schedule on our website, WGR550.com. Panthers over the Maple Leafs 6-1 last night. That's a 3-2 series lead now for Florida. Edmonton wins over the Golden Knights in 5 games. They win in overtime last night. In the NBA, you had the Celtics staying alive with a win over the Knicks, even though they didn't have Jason Tatum, who's out with an injury. Out for the season, an Achilles tear. And then the Warriors season comes to an end, falling to the Timberwolves. Amherst lost Game 1 against Laval in their second round of the playoffs. Game 2 is in Rochester on Friday night. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership.
I just look at the Dolphins, and I don't know what is the path for the Dolphins. They're not great defensively. They're really not great offensively if you can handle speed at all. The line's gotten worse. Look, I think the Bengals feel like they are what they were a year ago, just more expensive now. Like, the Bengals are going to score 40 points and give up 42. Every game with the Bengals is going to be, can you make them punt twice? And if you can, you're going to win. The Dolphins, I would not be surprised if we're sitting here at the end of the year talking about if Mike McDaniel is going to keep his job or not. I just don't think they're very good.
Matt Verderam with the folks at One Bills Live yesterday. He talks Chiefs, covers the Chiefs, talking about the Dolphins and where they fit in this whole mix. Hey, you can go to getmyperks.com and grab a WGR VIP golf card. Part of the proceeds benefit PGA Hope. PGA Hope introduces and teaches golf to veterans and active duty military to enhance their physical, mental, social, and emotional well-being. Suicide a major issue among military veterans, with recent statistical studies showing that 22 veterans a day commit suicide. Together, we hope to change this statistic by helping veterans to return to civilian life. And what you can get with this WGR VIP golf card is 8 different things for one low price, $129. It's over $200 of savings, 18 holes at Diamond Hawk, 18 holes at Shamrock Hills, 18 at Attica's 10th hole, 18 at Bobolinks, Golf Dojo, 1 hour gift certificate, a dozen Vero X1 golf balls from Encore Golf, $25 at Riggs Direct Golf Warehouse, and 18 holes at Destroyer Park Golf. So all that available at getmyperks.com. The Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm not with Howard that they are done.
I couldn't tell if he was being serious, that they're no longer the gold standard. They, of course, have been the team in the AFC for a long time, and the Bills have trouble getting over them. You know, everybody's moving up and down. Call each team its own little stock market, if you will. And for me, we could see a third year of this for the Chiefs, where they're not exactly at their peak, at their best, but what they've been the last 2 years is weakened versions of what they used to be. Mm-hmm. They built a better defense, and their offense became okay, not great.
Mid.
Not as good as the Bills offensively, but
Correct.
Still finding ways. And they drafted an offensive lineman, and they added to their trenches. I mean, offensive line, defensive line in the first 3 picks of the draft. They had a receiver to a group that they've been trying to overhaul. Kelsey's back for another year. Kelsey went from looking shot in December to being a contributor once again. So,
yep.
I definitely don't think the Chiefs are done. Can the Bills beat them in the regular season? Sure. Can they beat them in the playoffs? Sure. I might be more worried about Baltimore than I am Kansas City, but that might be stupid too.
I would agree with that. That I would be more worried right now. Well, it depends. I guess it is tough to say that because of the playoff history between the two, and that the Chiefs, they have this knowledge about what works against the Bills, and I do think they look different in playoff meetings than they do in the regular season, and I'm not sure the Bills do in totality the same. My reasoning for thinking that the Chiefs will be down this year compared to previous years is just I don't think their fatal flaws are fixed. The rookie, maybe the rookie comes in, Simmons, and is able to make a giant difference on that line. But they moved Joe Thuney out, who was great at guard,
and they
average at tackle when they had to put him there because they had nobody else. The guy they signed, Jalen Moore, has 12 career starts. And none of his grading looks good on it. Nobody says he's like a star player at the position. That's their left tackle now. And Juwan Taylor's on the other side. So and Thuney out, and then you have the rookie. Maybe Simmons will get in there over one of the two tackles. But like, I'm not convinced at all that they have fixed their offensive line. And I think that caused a lot of their problems last year. I think they got lucky in a ton of regular season games. I'm not saying they'll miss the playoffs. I still probably would think they would win the division, although I think they'll have a fight on their hands for that.
Yep.
But regular season, I would definitely pick the Ravens and the Bills to have more wins than them this year. I don't think they're going to go back to this explosive offense this season. They'll win. If they win 12, 13 games, I think it will look how it did last year. It'll be their defense is really good.
Magic
happens, and they grind goals. Their way to that's why I would bet them to only win like 10, 11 games. Only 10, 11 games. I don't think they'll be that different. And they got a lot of lucky breaks last season. And if they get 3 fewer lucky breaks, well, that's a 10-win team.
Right. Well, if they were to play last season again, I would agree. I'd knock them for 3 more losses. But they will be a slightly different version of themselves, just kind of like we expect the Bills to be a different version of themselves.
That's right.
For the Bills' flaws and the Chiefs' flaws. I don't want to live in a world where I think the Bills fixed theirs and the Chiefs didn't fix theirs. What were Baltimore's flaws last year? The injuries.
Baltimore didn't really have many.
It
was injuries. Yeah.
One other thing about that game against Baltimore in the opener that will be different, again, assuming everybody's healthy, the Ravens will have their best receiver. Yeah. Zay Flowers was out of the playoff game. He missed that.
That's right.
So that matters too,
For Kansas City, I would bet on, if their offense looks better this year than last year, I would think it has less to do with their line getting better and more to do with their weapons being flush.
Right, last year the Chiefs were without Rashee Rice.
And Hollywood Brown.
Their best receiver.
And Hollywood Brown for the whole year. And there's no guarantee those guys will be healthy. There's also no guarantee Rice doesn't get suspended for a giant chunk of the season because of last offseason.
Right, the Chiefs,
but by the time you play them in a playoff game, there's a very good chance that it is Worthy, Brown, and Rice. And that's a lot better than they were for most of last season.
What were they last year? They were Worthy, Kelsey, and
Juju.
Noah Gray.
And Sky Moore wasn't even playing anymore.
Right.
Yeah, like Juju Smith-Schuster was playing meaningful snaps for them still.
Yeah.
And that's not where they want to be. So if they go from middling-looking offense in the regular season to a step above that, I would think it has more to do with the receiver position for them. Now, all that being said, I think the Bills will win more games than them this year, and I would have a very tough time telling you they'll beat them in a playoff game.
803-0550. Steelers-Jets. So Mike North, you know him because he's on they do the yearly podcast with Sal and Matt Bovan, always game day in Buffalo. He told Jonathan Jones of CBS Sports the league did not take the hypothetical Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh thing as something that they think will happen. Basically saying, if we thought Rodgers was going to play for the Steelers, that would be a national television game. Instead, it's Sunday, 1 o'clock, Steelers-Jets. So, Pittsburgh and the Jets, Sunday 1. If the league knew that was Rodgers, probably a national television window. And I don't know who falls out of the national television window in that case. Who's the opening Monday night game? I actually don't know that.
It is Chicago and Minnesota.
Okay. Maybe that's the one that falls out. I mean, that is Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy. The Vikings are everywhere with a quarterback that's not yet played. If there's one team where it could kind of blow up, that could be the one.
Oh, if the quarterback's just not good?
Yeah.
I mean, that's very possible. I mean, that coach, I have a lot of trust in that coach.
He's a good coach.
This will be a test, though, because like that quarterback was hidden in college. Like, Michigan hid him, and now he's going to be like the dude throwing to Justin Jefferson down the field. They have... Here's the first 5 games of Minnesota is in a standalone window 4 of their first 5 games and 5 of their first 7. They go Monday night, week 1, Sunday night, week 2, then a 1 o'clock game against Cincinnati, then the back-to-back London games. That's part of why it's a standalone, because they have the two 9:30 games and then a Thursday night against the Chargers a couple weeks later. So you're getting if you're one that wakes up early to watch, those London games, then you're going to get Vikings for the first 5 weeks. So it could blow up on them very easily.
The Dolphins have 3 potential cold weather games in December, January. Not just a trip to Buffalo, but the schedule lays out for them. They come here in week 3.
Yep.
But the way they close out the season, the Dolphins will have to go to the Jets, the Steelers, and the Patriots, all in December/January.
Okay.
So Dolphins winning in the cold narrative will be up once again this end of this year.
Yep.
Fun with the schedule. It's out. Now we can start to plan. You can start to plan your trips, booking flights, booking Airbnbs, hotels, whatever it might be. The Carolina trip lined up really nicely. We'll see if we can make that happen.
Late October.
Yeah, we'll see.
Not that October can't be great here. Once you start getting to late October, though, it's a little more tricky. So
still elite season.
Yeah.
But Carolina looks like a nice trip. And Atlanta for a Monday night. Like, okay, that's a cool little spot.
I believe we will have odds on all these games now, too. So if you wanted to get...
Are the Bills favored in every game?
I was just checking that because I'm pretty sure they are. Maybe they would be underdogs, though, once.
No.
Philly. They might be underdogs against Philly.
The Bills only have 5 standalone games. That's another way to say it. We said prime time, big window.
Yeah.
They only have 5 standalone. It's not that many.
I just listed 4 in the first 5 for Minnesota.
The Commanders have 8.
Yeah. The Bills, by the way, if you were wondering, -1.5 against the Ravens in week 1.
Then I don't know when they will not be favored.
Maybe week 17 against the Eagles, but that's so many things are going to happen.
But as of right now, is there a look-ahead line for that game now?
I don't see it.
All right, we'll work on that. 803-0550. Jeremy and Joe on WGR. Could definitely afford Trey Hendrickson, and it's not going well there. Hendrickson, another player that we spent a good amount of time talking about this offseason. Could the Bills wrench him away from Cincinnati? That's before they sign, Bosa, and they draft the defensive end, Landon Jackson. Hendrickson's a guy we talked about quite a bit, but I could never envision them actually trading him to the Bills or to another AFC contender. But
yeah,
he might not last there too long. He says he thinks it's personal at this point.
I mean, I think the reason he thinks that is he spoke about a number of things yesterday. I liked his comment about how, the one quote, "I'm not going to apologize for the rates being paid to defensive ends in the National Football League. Like, these guys are getting this.
Yep.
It's not my fault. I just want to be paid in line with my peers that are, this dude led the league in sacks. The personal, one of the things I saw that he could have taken personally was Zach Taylor last month texting him, like, hey, if you don't report to minicamp, which is, at that point, think of it like 3 months away, like, you're going to get fined. And he took that as, well, I guess they have no want to even talk to me about contract anymore because they're already warning me about what's going to happen in the summer if I don't show up. They already have it in their heads, oh, we're not going to get a contract on here. We're already mentally moved on to, well, is he going to show up at minicamp? Are we going to have to fine him? Because that's what they're texting me about. The head coach.
Yeah, which is a little bit like the Bills with James Cook. Of course, the difference being Hendrickson has proven to be elite. And Cook had a really nice year. And for the Bills to kind of stand on that and say, do it again, that is justified. For Hendrickson with the Bengals, it's not that. This is one of the top, 5 pass rushers in football.
Yes.
He has outperformed his contract, and it's all gone way higher than what he makes. Why don't you go ahead and give him a contract?
And the other thing was that Hendrickson spoke on that because this trade request didn't start this offseason. It was last year. Before last season, Hendrickson requested a trade, and what he spoke about yesterday, that there was a promise basically made to him, like, come in, be at camp, play the season on your current deal, and if you play well and you earn it, then we'll talk.
Yep.
And then he went out and led the league in sacks. And they want him to do it again without talking about without doing a new contract.
If the Bengals,
so he probably feels betrayed, like you lied to me.
On the schedule, maybe you remember things we've said, maybe you don't remember things we've said. I remember one thing I've said a lot about the Bills and where they live right now, which is I said I want the life the Steelers used to have, not the football team, but the life. And the life was you're in all these big games all the time. And the Bills have taken that life. Opening the season at home against the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah. As the game of the week, one of them for sure. I mean, Eagles-Cowboys is decent. Chargers-Chiefs is pretty good. But Ravens-Bills, they're giving you game of the week status in week 1. Yeah. The last 2 MVPs, and then primetime week 3, primetime week 5, 425s all up and down the schedule. It's a little bit about the timing. Really what it is how many times is the country going to tune in and say, man, I can't wait to watch this game. And that is the life of the Bills right now.
I think it is definitively the best game of week 1.
Probably.
There's not many that can really top it, but it's better in terms of being a matchup.
Two teams.
Better than Cowboys and Eagles. It's better than Chiefs and Eagles. It's certainly better than Vikings and Bears. The 425 game is Lions and Packers. That might be the one that comes closest.
That's pretty good, yeah. Watching the opening round of the PGA Championship, we talked to Brian Kosio in this first hour about the PGA finding its lane, how the Masters has its, and the U.S. Open's always about we like par to win, and that Quail Hollow here, they're growing the rough up big. It's it's long, Bomber's Paradise with the rough up big, and I know that some golf fans love when the rough is terrible. And it just strikes me that everyone's favorite tournament really doesn't have thick rough at all. The Masters. No one's. You hit it off the fairway. What do you have? You're fine. You have pine straw and rough, and there's never any. Well, he's never going to get it out of there. You got to blast it out of 3 inches of grass. Mm-hmm. I don't need these tournaments, especially the PGA. Just go to a cool track and have a good field and call it a major. There's your lane. You're in between the Masters and the Open.
It's not really a lane, though, is it? Like it's good, but I don't know what else is available to them. I think they're doing fine. Well, doing what they're doing.
That's the point, though. If they're trying to copy the U.S. Open and have big, thick rough, just who needs it? There's one thing to copy. I just don't need it. I don't need to watch guys hack it out of the rough because they missed by 3 yards, if that's what's happening.
The only lane that isn't really in existence in a major, I don't think you'd ever want to do this, is just make it as scoreable as possible. Like 30 under is the winning. It's all offense. It's the Warriors equivalent. But I don't think golf doesn't really. It's not that type of sport, right? Like a couple weeks ago, there was a tournament where Scheffler won and he was like 31 under or something. And what was everyone's reaction? Like, that's a stupid tournament.
Yeah,
this is dumb. Everybody's birdieing.
16, 17, 18, so much water. Lots of potential for stuff to go wrong. It's not quite the same as Sawgrass, but Sawgrass has water on the right on 16, the island green on 17, and water on the left on 18. And 16, 17, 18 at Quail Hollow here. Like, water is a factor, which is always dramatic, at least, because, penalty strokes.
Rory birdieing one.
Yeah.
I think he could have like one of the all-time seasons.
Listen, if wins
he's through his mental thing from the Masters now, and he's past that, which he talked about. Like, I'm hoping I'm past all that now. And this course is like his course. I mean,
this course is his course, and the Open Championship is his course, Portrush. So,
give me 3 majors.
Could he do 4? It's kind of like the Triple Crown. Whoever wins the first one, all right, let's see if they're going to win the second one. The difference with the Triple Crown, with the Preakness up this weekend, by the way, is you rarely see the Masters champion skipping the next major, which is what's happening in the Preakness, and is not that unusual in the horse racing.
It's the same. Well, actually, it's even more rare than this, because the Triple Crown was something that I guess when I was, until a couple years ago, I might have thought, I wonder if I'll ever see it.
Right, we went 40, 35 years, and then we've seen it twice since.
I would have had to wonder if I ever see it. DeChambeau got asked, I think earlier in the week, whether he thinks will ever see someone win all 4 majors, the Grand Slam, someone win all 4 majors in the same year. And I think his answer was, I don't think we probably will.
I think it's very unlikely.
So, someone even giving a shot at it. How huge a sports story would that be? Just even a guy chasing it, getting close for something that you might expect you'll never see it in your entire life. You'll probably never see it. A guy chasing that would be maybe the best sports story of the year. But he's got to win this one.
Yeah. 803-0550 to join us. Bills road trips. Where you headed? Now you know the dates. Where you going? Bills Mafia, give us a ring. We got an open hour coming up. We can chat about it with you, whether it's Atlanta, Carolina, in the division. It's a nice schedule. It's out. The road trips are manageable for the team and for fans as well. 803-0550, 1-888-550-2550 on WGR. More of Jeremy. Call Jed. Quirk of the schedule. Make this the stat of the day, right? Let's do a stat of the day. Brought to you by Empire Electric, your residential neighborhood electrician. Visit empireelectricians.com. Stat of the day is that we are getting a game for the first time since 2006. There is a matchup of what? There's a fun one.
Since 2006?
For the first time since 2006, we will have a matchup of what?
That's
19 years since this happened.
The last 2 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks? Last 2 MVPs? I don't know.
Left-handed quarterbacks.
Oh.
2 left-handed quarterbacks will start a game for the first time since 2006.
Wait a minute. Interesting. So, Tua and Penix?
Yep.
Okay. 2006 is the last time this happened? Ooh, I want to get this.
Yes. You can get one of them. I don't think you'll get the other.
Matt Leinart?
No.
Okay. Michael Vick?
Yes.
And
I did not remember this guy to be left-handed.
Oh, well, that's crazy. You gotta anyone that's left-handed, you would know them as left-handed.
I mean, I don't remember this guy throwing a pass. He did, presumably. He did a lot.
Can I get the team?
Bucks.
Wow, that wasn't helpful at all. Tampa, lefty.
Yeah. Not Steve Young.
Thank you. Josh Freeman wasn't a lefty. 2006.
2006.
Is this guy like a career backup?
No, I feel like he started and then he was done.
He started and then he was done.
I could be wrong about that.
Highly drafted?
No. 3rd round pick, maybe. Son of another NFL quarterback.
Oh, Chris Sims?
Chris Sims.
Okay.
Vic and
so
Sims.
I do remember him as a lefty.
the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm not with Howard that they are done.
I couldn't tell if he was being serious, that they're no longer the gold standard. They, of course, have been the team in the AFC for a long time, and the Bills have trouble getting over them. You know, everybody's moving up and down. Call each team its own little stock market, if you will. And for me, we could see a third year of this for the Chiefs where they're not exactly at their peak, at their best. But what they've been the last 2 years is weakened versions of what they used to be. Mm-hmm. They built a better defense, and their offense became okay, not great.
Mid.
Not as good as the Bills offensively, but
Correct.
Still finding ways. And they drafted an offensive lineman, and they added to their trenches. I mean, offensive line, defensive line in the first 3 picks of the draft. They had a receiver to a group that they've been trying to overhaul. Kelsey's back for another year. Kelsey went from looking shot in December to being a contributor once again. So,
yep.
I definitely don't think the Chiefs are done. Can the Bills beat them in the regular season? Sure. Can they beat them in the playoffs? Sure. I might be more worried about Baltimore than I am Kansas City, but that might be stupid too.
I would agree with that. That I would be more worried right now. Well, it depends. I guess it is tough to say that because of the playoff history between the two, and that the Chiefs, they have this knowledge about what works against the Bills, and I do think they look different in playoff meetings than they do in the regular season, and I'm not sure the Bills do in totality the same. My reasoning for thinking that the Chiefs will be down this year compared to previous years is just I don't think their fatal flaws are fixed. Maybe the rookie comes in, Simmons, and is able to make a giant difference on that line. But they moved Joe Thuney out, who was great at guard,
and they
average at tackle when they had to put him there because they had nobody else. The guy they signed, Jalen Moore, has 12 career starts, and none of his grading looks good on it. Nobody says he's like a star player at the position. The 2025 Bills schedule is in, and it features 4 primetime games in the first 6 games for the Buffalo Bills, including 3 at home. The opener against the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football. There's a Dolphins Thursday night game in Week 3. Patriots Sunday night at home on Week 5. Falcons Monday night in Week 6. Later in the year, at the Texans Thursday night, that's Week 12. And then the final game of the season is against the New York Jets. That'll be at home, the final regular season game at Highmark Stadium. You can check it out in full on our website, WGR550.com. The PGA Championship is underway at Quail Hollow in Charlotte. Ryan Fox, very, very early leader. It's only through 7 holes. Some of the big names just got out on the course, including Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele. They're all being paired together. Schauffele and McIlroy, unless McIlroy just bogeyed, he did. Never mind. McIlroy is even par. Schauffele is 1 under. Playoffs last night, Panthers over the Leafs 6-1. They're up 3-2 in the series now, and the Golden Knights season comes to an end, losing 1-0 in overtime to Edmonton. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership.
People are insane. Okay, if you look at the video, that is a white guy. His leg is so tiny, and his stomach is so tiny. No way. He cannot protect Josh Allen. That is not on my body, and I would never get that tattooed. It was insane. It's been going all over the internet that people are like, Deion Dawkins gets Josh Allen and his snow face mask tattooed. Now, my snow face mask, that is iconic. I would get that. Yeah, no, I did not get my quarterback tattooed on me.
So you love to play,
No.
but not enough to put it on your thigh, basically.
I am not getting my quarterback tattooed on me. Do you know how weird he would feel around me if I got my quarterback's tattoo on my body? That is so weird. I would never make my quarterback that uncomfortable.
Deion Dawkins, there was a picture on the internet of a Josh Allen Superman tattoo to the end zone, and people thought it was Deion Dawkins. He clears the air. No, it was not.
Yeah.
Not him. Would it be weird to get a tattoo of Josh Allen on you if you're Deion Dawkins? I'm going to say I don't think that's weird. He has lots of tattoos, and the idea that your whole job is to protect this guy, I don't think it's weird. Is it weird that I don't think it's weird? You think it's weird?
I think it might be a little weird.
Didn't Dennis Scott have a tattoo of himself on his body? Former NBA player?
A little different.
Really?
Dennis Anderson?
Of himself, like playing?
I thought so. There's an Orlando Magic player.
That might be weirder than getting your quarterback tattooed.
Doesn't Peyton
on you.
Krebs have a tattoo of maybe himself playing for Canada? I saw that earlier in the season.
Here you go.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, you're right. Peyton Krebs, look at this. On his, is it on his bicep?
Yeah, it's like a arm.
It's himself playing for Canada.
Yeah. I like the player a lot, is what I'll say on that. That might be tough.
Hold on a minute. If you played for Team Canada,
dude,
you did it. You played for Team Canada, and here's a great.
But you can get a tattoo of like
anything.
The rest of the tattoo that Krebs has is great. You don't need yourself at the bottom playing.
Let me see.
Let
me see this picture.
I think it's a fine tattoo around himself playing. But the image of him doing it, it's just like, why did that even need to be added?
I have no problem at all. You do something iconic. If Allen wins this, if Deion Dawkins wins the Super Bowl with the Bills, and he gets a picture of himself raising the Lombardi Trophy on the stage, that's bad. What's wrong with that? Because you're putting yourself on your body.
I think so.
When it's like a exact image of yourself, I don't know.
I find that very weird.
Is it? You think it's less weird than like if Dawkins were to get a Josh Allen tattoo?
I don't think either of them is weird.
Okay.
Which I'm accepting might be weird.
How does it change if they have tattoos of each other? Like if Allen gets one of Dawkins and Dawkins gets one of Allen.
Less weird.
That's less weird for sure.
Less weird than
like
just one of them having it, right? Because one person could feel like he even said it there. The reason he wouldn't do it is he would make Josh feel uncomfortable.
Well,
but if Josh has it, then it's evened out. So everyone's all good.
The chat wants you and I to get tattoos of each other. Wait till you see my Howard tattoo.
Jerry and Bruno.
Jerry and Bruno. There we go. All right, hold on. I like where this is going. But the thing about tattoos is, and you've got a bunch.
Yeah.
And if people see the tattoos on your arms, what do? They ask, what's that one?
Yeah.
What does it mean? Every single one of them is going to have a meaning to you. Whereas if you got a tattoo of yourself playing for Team Canada, no one would have to ask you. They'd be like, oh, sweet, you did that. Hold on. Yeah. How is it any different, really, than if Krebs framed the jersey he played in and put it in his own house?
Well, because
that's look what I did. This means something to me. In this case, it's on my arm.
Mm-hmm. I think it's such a personal thing.
How different is it than the names of your kids? This is something I did. This is something that is important to me.
That's not. I guess maybe is the thing I'm having that it's the
your own
image.
likeness. You don't want your own face on your body.
Yeah. Maybe that's the problem I'm having with it because like the names are fine, but it's the exact likeness maybe that is a little.
I think
strange
don't all the Olympians get the rings every time that they go? If they go to the Olympics, they get the rings tattooed.
Maybe
it's sort of similar to that.
That's different because that's a logo,
right?
That's not a face.
People that complete an Iron Man often get an Iron Man tattoo on them, like the logo of the Iron Man.
But they wouldn't get themselves the exact still shot image tattooed of themselves.
Let me tell you right now.
Iron Man.
Let me tell you, if I won an Iron Man, I would. That'd be right there, like me crossing the finish line.
Like you could get, if they won the Super Bowl, Dawkins could get just the Lombardi trophy, not literally himself hoisting the Lombardi trophy.
Him and Allen holding the Lombardi trophy.
True. How about this?
That would be funny.
Here's your next bet in fantasy football league, whatever. If the Bills win the Super Bowl, someone should agree to this. You'll get a tattoo of yourself celebrating the Bills winning the Super Bowl.
Oh, man.
And that's what, though? That's the last place punishment?
No. It's just someone out there. Will anyone out there agree to that? You'll agree to get a tattoo of yourself celebrating the Bills win. Somebody took a picture in your living room when the kick goes through, and you're like this, and it's just you when they win the Super Bowl. Bad idea?
I think there are 1,000 better tattoo ideas for when they win the Super Bowl. But
hold on.
I also don't want to say that that's a terrible idea.
Josh Allen, they win the Super Bowl on the last play, and it is the picture, the Superman dive to the corner like the Amari Cooper play. You're telling me a Bills fan can get that play tattooed on them?
Maybe there's a level of iconic where it's, that scenario.
I want the rules. A Bills fan can get that, yes or no?
Yes.
Dawkins can get that, yes or no?
When you're buddies with the guy.
Right.
He's got to look at it every day.
Yeah, like in the shower post game, Josh walks by.
Every day. Every day I'd be like, hey, face. Josh, by the way, thanks for this. Remember that play? Remember when we won because you did that thing?
Yeah.
Now, here's another case. Now, here's why Dawkins should get it, because he's protecting Josh from having to get it, because now Dawkins is getting it and saying, like, we'll commemorate the play on my body. You're going to look at me.
Ultimate protector.
Yes. It's all about protecting Josh.
But what if there comes a day where they're not as friendly? That could happen. I would not predict it right now. Rex Ryan had a Mark Sanchez tattoo, and then he had to cut him.
He had not a Mark Sanchez tattoo. Do you remember?
I remember that. But Mark Sanchez was featured, wasn't he?
Of his wife wearing a Mark Sanchez jersey.
That's what it was. Sorry, that's right. That's different.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
Like, once upon a time,
tattoos are art.
When Diggs first got here, him and Josh were playing video games all the time together, and someone would have said the same thing to them. Like, why don't you get tattoos of each other? 5 years later.
Did anyone say, why don't you get tattoos of each other?
Probably not.
You could convince me that they already have tattoos of each other, I think, based on the way that they acted with each other when they first got together.
I don't know.
How'd we get on this? I don't even remember.
Dawkins
tattoos. Dawkins tattoos.
The real question is, when do we get to the level of wearing your heart on your sleeve?
Wow.
Been sitting on that one for a second. Had to answer some phone calls. I'm sorry.
Hey, it was in the hopper.
Yikes. Do we have a penalty box?
We should have one.
My box is the penalty box.
I was going to say, he's just in there full time, though.
Yeah, you are really... I mean, we are all in these boxes to a degree. Joe and I get to share one.
Yeah, you guys
get everyone has their own
We should get tattoos of each other. Just because of this.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have any tattoos. You don't either?
No, but I'll be.
Getting one?
That's on the docket.
You're getting one?
Yeah.
Josh?
Soon.
Nope. I've thought about
I'm
it.
the
but never
only
did
one
it.
with tattoos in here? Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. I got to get some more.
I'll be joining you soon.
Really
Some
lean in.
point
All
soon.
right.
Yeah.
There we go.
803-0550. Rob in Toronto. Hey, Rob.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good. Thanks, Rob.
Good. I got to chime in about this tattoo discussion. First of all, you cannot possibly get the face of a teammate, a current living teammate, placed on your body.
Just the face?
Hold on.
You're saying just the face?
I'm saying like
The likeness at all.
No.
What about you said living teammate? Can it be a past teammate?
Yes, that I would argue that could be construed as allowable.
Okay, so you can pay tribute to someone after they die.
That is correct.
But I love this point because what's the use? Let them know you love them when they're here. You know, let's just all start getting tattoos of our friends. You know, like here it is, like my whole arm. Yeah.
The Rushmore,
Yeah.
The Rushmore buddies. Secondly, when it comes to tattoos, I have a question for you. Selling your soul, what would you be willing to get a tattoo on your body if the Bills were to win a Super Bowl? So, what would you sacrifice? Like Tom Brady with all his rings. Like, would you get a tattoo of that if the Bills were to win a Super Bowl? Like, how deep would you go in terms of selling your soul to have the Bills win a Super Bowl? Like, I would get a tattoo of Howard Simon in his fear bunker if they were to win.
Yeah.
Things like that. Like, how deep would you go?
Thanks, Rob.
How about if the Bills win the Super Bowl, Jeremy gets a picture of
An egg
Gene
salad sandwich?
Steratore face.
Gene Steratore eating an egg salad sandwich.
Yeah, there you go.
Someone wrote
For
in,
the Bills to
would
win
you
the
get
Super
an
Bowl.
egg salad sandwich recipe on you for the Bills to win a Super Bowl? Sure.
You would sooner, I know this about you for sure, you would sooner make a bet like that to get a tattoo of an egg salad sandwich before you would actually eat the egg salad sandwich.
That's right. I'm more likely to get
amazing.
a tattoo of an egg salad sandwich than I am to eat one.
That's unbelievable.
That is correct.
Faced with the two options, you could either just eat a sandwich or you could get the tattoo
Or
of the
look
sandwich.
at one on my
You
arm.
would pick the tattoo.
Correct. Not close.
Unbelievable.
Blowout. Yes. Absolute blowout.
I'd go pretty far. I mean, would you get a Chiefs logo tattooed on you?
For the Bills to win a Super Bowl?
Sure.
I mean, no. I cheat at these all the time. I tell you, I can't. You're saying if the Bills win a Super Bowl, I have to agree to then get a Chiefs tattoo? Because I tell you all the time, I hate making the deal where I know they're going to win. The whole point is not knowing if they will.
Uh-huh.
So I can't ever say yes to anything where...
Ruins the game.
It ruins the...
Ruins the game.
I do ruin the game. Would I do this for this?
This is why I'll always introduce the Men in Black thing if you want, where you're gonna make the deal and then you're gonna forget about it.
But then I'm gonna have a tattoo and say, why do I have a Chiefs tattoo?
Then we're gonna explain it to you. We'll show you the video back of you agreeing to it.
When is that?
After they win.
Okay, after it's all
after
said
they
and
win.
done. This is really hard hitting stuff here. We've got
Brady and all his rings, though.
That's a tough one. By the way, significantly less. Hey, Tom Brady's going to be on this game this year, huh?
I don't think I've heard a
peep. A true sign how good he was in the booth is how it's not. There's not a peep about it. Not hide nor hair of. And the first Tom Brady game of the year is blank. You just don't have it. It doesn't exist. The Bengals and Bills is a Fox game. We learned that. Is Brady on that game? Not a mention of it. Is Fox running away from Brady being their lead commentator?
Is he definitely still coming back? He definitely is doing Fox again, right?
That's a good question. I think so.
Did he just want to call a Super Bowl and be done? I don't know. There's also all the talk that he's not as involved with the Raiders as it's been made out to be, but I don't know if I really want to buy that, so I don't know.
David and Amherst, we've got another tattoo call. Hey, David, what's up?
Nothing much. I was listening, and all you guys had valid points. But I think a big part of this there is where would the tattoo be?
Mm-hmm.
Like if it was some old hangover tattoo, Mike Tyson tattoo on my face. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But you saying Tom Brady with the rings? If that's on my back or my backside, I don't care.
Right, you have to see it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I thought that made a valid point saying where would it be located?
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Thanks, David. How about if it's a group of people? You win the Stanley Cup, you get the picture of the team photo on you. Allowed? You're in the team photo.
I'm placing myself into the team photo.
No, I'm saying you win the Stanley Cup.
And then you're okay.
This is back to the Peyton Krebs scenario. Your team has won the cup. The iconic sitting on the ice, boom, full.
Why not just get a tattoo of the cup?
Because the point is that you don't. It's not about the cup. It's about you won it.
Also, how well is the detail of this picture? If it's like, I
mean, the Krebs one's pretty good. I mean, if like you would not mistake it for anybody else. It's that good. If you have I guess
because if you have 20 guys on your back, like you're gonna be able to pick out who's who.
Well, what I'm wondering is, if you have a Stanley Cup tattoo, you would assume that person won the Stanley Cup. If it's a player, though, or if the guy's walking around, maybe you don't know if he's an NHL player.
So all you have to do for people to assume you've won the cup is get a tattoo of the cup.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not disputing that.
Because
it's probably right.
Nobody that's ever not won the cup would get a cup tattoo. Could you imagine?
I mean,
imagine if Rasmus Dahlin came into training camp and he's got a Stanley Cup tattoo on his arm.
Yeah, all right.
Would break the sport.
Hey, where's the NFL?
Broke every unwritten rule about the trophy.
Where's the NFL's yearly poster with all the players looking at the Lombardi Trophy in San Francisco? Is that?
That's a great question.
That's not schedule release kind of graphic. That's start of the season graphic.
I guess I would have thought that was schedule release, but I haven't seen it.
By the way, here's another question for you. You throw this out there. Rumor, okay? Flat rumor. When do we find out who's on Hard Knocks?
I don't know. I could probably. Do you remember who was on Hard Knocks last year?
Last year there was an in-season Hard Knocks. The Giants.
No, that was the off-season one.
Okay.
Wasn't it the Bears?
I'll take your word for it.
The Bears. Last year, the Bears were announced as the team featured in Training Camp 2024. That was announced on May 30th.
Okay. So 2 weeks.
If it's the same as last year, 2 weeks.
I don't know if this, again, rumor. Here's how I'll phrase it. Should we consider the Bills a candidate?
Yeah.
I'd like to give one little, just if the Bills are on it. Every team hates the idea. They don't want to be on it. They really don't.
Correct.
That said,
nobody does.
That said, are the Bills currently the most media present team? The GM and coach are routinely.
The GM's on TV every day.
And the coach was on Pardon My Take again. Like, they're just kind of a media present team.
Josh is around. Josh is on YouTube golf streams 5 times an off season.
The coach and the GM are, I think, by relative comparison, pretty young and out there and just talking all the time. And I wonder if the Bills would think. First off, you get chosen.
Well,
I don't know how you get chosen. I that's all I'm saying. I wonder if they are a little bit more thinking of, we might not like this and this and this about it, but if we get picked, we can make it work. They're both pretty good in the media and they're both pretty active.
I mean, looking at all the different Hard Knocks they've had, there have been 24 seasons of Hard Knocks.
Wow.
In one way or another. Some of them, the last couple of years, there's 3 of them in 1 year, so that goes 22, 23,
and the Bills
24.
have never been touched.
No. And I'll maybe do this in the break, try to count how many teams have been featured on Hard Knocks, because a couple pop up here twice. The Cowboys twice. Looks like the Ravens maybe twice. But, the Bills have never. At some point, doesn't everybody got to do it?
Now you have the MVP.
Unless you just outlive the existence of the show.
Yeah.
Is
it more interesting? Listen, Ravens-Bills in Week 1. That is, we've talked about this several times. We'll talk about it hundreds more. That's the 2 guys that have to win one are playing Sunday Night Football to open the season.
And also, wouldn't they maybe be more likely to be in it the year after all the Giants stuff happened? Because teams might now have more control over the process. There was some talk about that teams are more fearful of Hard Knocks because of how it made the Giants look last year, and maybe one of the concessions that HBO has to make to kind of keep the show going is, we'll give you more power in not being embarrassed. the Giants probably feel like they were last year.
Yeah.
Even though that was good. That was the best part of Hard Knocks in 10 years was the Giants stuff. But teams aren't going to want that. Maybe the Bills could be like, all right, let's do it now, fresh off of that, when we could probably get HBO to agree to letting us veto literally anything we want. Just an idea.
Yeah.
And right, Allen being the MVP and, really, I think the biggest point for me is that they have never been on it. 2001, the show started. They have never been on it since 2001. They're going to be on it eventually.
The closest they have to being on it was the in-season one when they played against who?
The Colts.
Yeah, a game against the Colts was a part of it, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't remember anything else.
Listen, again, as I talk media side of it, Allen is there. Dawkins is there. You want to talk about the best... Who is it? Brizgalov? Ilya Brizgalov from NHL 24/7?
All-time great.
Deion Dawkins is already, I think, a fairly well-known player in the NFL. Get him on Hard Knocks. Get him his own show.
Yeah.
Give me a Dawkins channel. I think it'd be a great choice. Great choice. How to deal with expectations. Keon Coleman would be great on Hard Knocks. Like the list of players that they have for this. Joey Bosa trying to find it again would be good on Hard Knocks, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I've got a good number of people, I think, on this team that would rate.
I think if I just doing a very quick count, I think there have been 21 teams that have been on Hard Knocks at some point,
and never the Bills.
And the Bills would be one of the 11 that never have been.
All right. Could they be on it this year? I'm just saying. Somebody said to me,
"Do you want them to be on
in
it
the
this
mix.
year?" I think I want them to be on it for sure, right?
100%.
It'll be watered down. Totally.
Doesn't matter.
And you will get so little in terms of real,
or you get
drama. But
I don't think
you'll get storytelling about dudes that are gonna maybe make the team in the preseason.
Right? Maybe it's to me not that different than the stuff that teams produce about their draft. It's everything
like the Bills Embedded series, basically.
Yeah, it's here's our side of the story that we want to tell you. And as you're saying, like the Giants Hard Knocks offseason was treated as a scandal on levels that can't be understood. And what was it? A team deciding they weren't going to pay a running back when they stunk, which is something we all think teams should do.
Right.
And then what else happened? You saw their draft board. What'd you learn from it? Nothing. Mm-hmm. You didn't actually learn anything, but it was a scandal because it looked like the team didn't completely edit every element of it. You saw true conversations, which is something you almost never see from NFL teams.
Right. Well, part of why it blew up in their face, it really was more after the fact, wasn't it?
Because Barkley was amazing.
Because as the season progressed, everyone remembered those scenes from Hard Knocks, and when the season started rolling, that's when the embarrassment came. The Bills won't have any version of that, right? There's no move that was made this summer that sets them up to be embarrassed. Like what? Like
Mac Hollins.
Amari Cooper is just going to go to a team and catch 15. Like even that, there's nothing. I don't think.
Yep.
What about Mac Hollins? Mac Hollins
goes for 1,200 yards, and Drake May wins the MVP.
Maybe.
I don't think so. 803-0550 and 1-888-550-2550. All right, Jeremy and Joe, give us a ring. Tattoos and Hard Knocks. All right. Yeah, why not? It's beautiful today. It's going to be a beautiful day again today. PGA Championship is underway, and the Amerks lost last night. How about that, huh? 5-4.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Shaky start for the Amerks. Bandits this weekend. We'll talk to Dave Buchanan tomorrow about the Bandits and their pursuit of a third straight. Give us a ring. Jeremy and Joe on WGR. Jeremy White here for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm not with Howard that they are done.
I couldn't tell if he was being serious, that they're no longer the gold standard. They, of course, have been the team in the AFC for a long time, and the Bills have trouble getting over them. You know, everybody's moving up and down. Call each team its own little stock market, if you will. And for me, we could see a third year of this for the Chiefs where they're not exactly at their peak, at their best. But what they've been the last 2 years is weakened versions of what they used to be. Mm-hmm. They built a better defense, and their offense became okay, not great.
Mid.
Not as good as the Bills offensively, but
Correct.
still finding ways. And they drafted an offensive lineman, and they added to their trenches. I mean, offensive line, defensive line in the first 3 picks of the draft. They had a receiver to a group that they've been trying to overhaul. Kelsey's back for another year. Kelsey went from looking shot in December to being a contributor once again. So,
yep.
I definitely don't think the Chiefs are done. Can the Bills beat him in the regular season? Sure. Can they beat him in the playoffs? Sure. I might be more worried about Baltimore than I am Kansas City, but that might be stupid too.
I would agree with that. That I would be more worried right now. Well, it depends. I guess it is tough to say that because of the playoff history between the two, and that the Chiefs, they have this knowledge about what works against the Bills, and I do think they look different in playoff meetings than they do in the regular season, and I'm not sure the Bills do in totality the same. My reasoning for thinking that the Chiefs will be down this year compared to previous years is just I don't think their fatal flaws are fixed. Maybe the rookie comes in, Simmons, and is able to make a giant difference on that line. But they moved Joe Thuney out, who was great at guard, and they average at tackle when they had to put him there because they had nobody else. The guy they signed, Jalen Moore, has 12 career starts, and none of his grading looks good on it. Nobody says he's like a star player at the position.
Always nice to come back to Quail Hollow for obvious reasons. Obviously, great memories from this place. First win on the PGA Tour 15 years ago. Winning last year. I probably played my best golf of the year last year here, especially at the weekend. So yeah, look, it's been an amazing 2025. Been a lot of great golf, but there's still a lot of golf left to play this year. So, I'm excited for the journey ahead. Looking forward to this week. Excited to tee it up in another PGA Championship and give myself another opportunity.
Rory McIlroy, golf. Golfers, if you're a golfer like me, I want you to understand something that, like, you hear me talk about golf a lot and how much I love golf, and I do love golf. And then there's days where I go play golf like yesterday, and I think, I can't believe I keep playing this sport. It doesn't make sense. It continues
the amount of money and effort you put into it just to be like marginally better than you used to be.
And sometimes
that's my experience.
And sometimes not just marginally better, sometimes unbelievably worse.
Yeah, right.
Because if you played with me yesterday, it's the first time you've ever played with me, you'd think, how many years have you been playing?
Stinks.
Do you ever make contact consistently? You've been playing for decades? Yeah. And you've shot good scores. Your handicap sounds like it's decent. Yeah. And then, I don't know. I don't understand it.
Just sometimes, sometimes you have those days.
It doesn't make
That's
any
it.
Yeah, but
maybe one day your back hurts, and although you're not saying that was you yesterday.
No, yesterday was just. It doesn't even make sense.
Sometimes the vibes are off.
It doesn't make sense to me. If golf were a different sport, it'd be like if you stood at center ice in a hockey rink with a stick and a puck, and you would hit it into an open net, and you took 50 shots, and you didn't hit one single shot into the open net. And you're like, it's kind of impressive to not do it. How could you miss that many fairways in one day?
Yeah,
the fairways are large.
They are pretty. They're
big.
They're wide open.
How
many times?
You're telling me you can line up straight down this and you can make the ball never land in that spot? How do you do it? How can it be done? You throw curveballs?
Yes.
Accidentally?
Yeah.
What a stupid sport. Let's go to Carolina and play some golf, but go there and deposit 50 Encore VRLX1s around Tobacco Road.
I think being a golfer should probably give us an appreciation for sometimes teams just have off days.
Yes, I agree with that.
Like the Leafs.
I've also said...
the Leafs they do it too often.
I've also said to you that being a golfer makes me think about my favorite players and wondering what if one day they just aren't good anymore? Which doesn't happen.
Right. But with Spieth, no one cares because he's given nobody any reason in the last 5 years to think he's going to get it. I think this is the tournament he needs also, isn't it? The PGA?
Spieth?
Yeah.
Yep. He's an adventure out there. Steve in Texas. Hey, Steve.
Hey, guys. I just wanted to chime in on the Hard Knocks conversation. I wasn't sure if there's any motivation by Pagula to land Hard Knocks for funding the new stadium. I'm not sure how their revenue sharing works amongst the owners, but I'm sure the NFL would also want to, that could be part of the Hard Knocks is, building that stadium and kind of showcasing it, because I think the script is for Buffalo to open up next season in the new stadium, because this is the year that they're going to do it.
Yeah, I wonder about that. Thanks, Steve. I don't know there'd be any big money in it for them to do it, but would the league, would HBO want to do something like that?
I'm reading that teams don't get paid directly, but the players that make appearances do.
Okay.
So they would not be, the Bills themselves, I don't believe, would be getting money directly paid to them for this. Part of the contract with the NFL. Revenue sharing, maybe. I don't know.
Hard Knocks. Maybe. It would be fun. It'd be must watch.
Should we have a Toronto Maple Leafs conversation here a little bit?
I'm ready for it. There's that we never got into this. What is, because you said you had an answer.
Yeah.
What is the single worst sporting event in Buffalo history to have attended?
Yeah.
Because last night in Toronto, I want to make a case that might be it. 6-0. It got to 6-1
because of the
magnitude.
Yep.
Because of everything about it. Because of how much you probably paid, and you were never ever in the game,
and people left early,
as they should.
The first thought I had was Bills and Bengals in the playoffs. Is that right enough for this?
It's pretty close.
It is, because it is so meaningful. It is the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a one and done, and it was. You 7-0 on the first possession, 14-0.
And you never felt like you were in it.
Yeah.
Right? Because any other, like the other games I thought of Game 7 against the Flyers, the Sabres' last playoff game in 2011. That's not home. So that's not going to qualify for this. Other home playoff games that I can think of from my lifetime, nothing's like that bad where you just don't never feel in it. You know? Was there a game somewhere in like the 2007 playoffs that I'm forgetting where they got roasted? I know they lost a couple to the Rangers, but
yeah,
I thought those were in Madison Square Garden.
07, 06, there's Game 4, Carolina 4-0, but that wasn't. I don't feel like they played terrible in that game. They just got beat.
Right. They have some on the other end. Like they handed the Flyers a couple of these games.
Yeah.
In the 06 playoffs, 7-1, right?
Yep. But last night in Toronto might have been the worst game you've ever attended as a sports fan if you were in that building.
Especially, man, if you are a Maple Leafs fan and the history, all the build-up to this season and this series where you can never get it done in the postseason. You win the first round, and you are up 2-0. Matthew Nyes had a breakaway in overtime of Game 3 to go up 3-0. Think of that. In that moment, he's heading down the ice. One-on-one with Bobrovsky to go up 3-0. If I just hit pause on that moment for a Maple Leafs fan and then hit fast forward to last night, imagine the feeling from that moment to now, where they've lost 3 in a row, down 3-2, you're at home, and you got smoked, and one of your star players that you might think is about to leave was like the main culprit for like the 2 goals at the beginning. Marner behind the net. Man, if I were in Toronto, I'd have a hard time, because I think he's an amazing player, and I would not want him to leave under any circumstance. I have a hard time not ripping him this morning.
Please refer to him as noted Bills fan Mitch Marner.
Bills fan, maybe future Buffalo Sabre Mitch Marner, probably not. Behind the net, just there's a battle going on, and the puck is laying there, and he decides to bail on it and not go after it. He could have had it easily. The puck's in the back of their net in 3 seconds. And then the third goal Florida scores, turnover in neutral zone, passes nowhere near it. And then after making the mistake, he decides not to pick up his man going to the net. Sweet. Thanks, dude. You really committed here?
Yep.
I'd be furious at him this morning. I also wouldn't want him to leave. That would be the feeling of you're a Toronto fan this morning.
Tough. Down from up 2-0 to down 3-2. But again, last year Edmonton's down 3-0. They forced Game 7, so
yeah,
they got to go to Florida and win.
Is there, by the way, a Bills regular season game that would work for this?
Worst experience
ever at a Bills game. Sabre, I can't think of a Sabre one that really works. Where something was so on the line. If Game 7.
The answer might be the Willie Parker game. They're playing backups. You have a chance to win and have a chance at the playoffs. And they were down a lot in that game. They never showed up in that game. Nate Clements had a pick 6 to give them the lead, and you thought, we're going to make it, and then they lost anyway.
That's a pretty good one, actually.
The Willie Parker game.
The Willie Parker game. I'm sure some people listening were at that game.
I was at that game.
Yeah?
Yep, I was in the press box in that game, covering the game for ESPN. Yep, Nate Clements had that pick 6, and it was okay. They're going to be okay. They didn't show up for the first half or whatever. They're going to be fine. Nope.
James Harrison touchdown too, right?
Yeah, I think a Bledsoe strip sack fumble maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, Bledsoe was under siege. And Willie Parker.
Colts in the rain in 2021, Jack says.
Colts in the rain in 2021. That's
not bad.
That's where Jonathan Taylor has 5 touchdowns and Isaiah McKenzie fumbles a kickoff.
Did Taylor have 200 yards too on top of it? Maybe they got run over all day. The weather helps there.
Maybe that's just a game that you lose. This is Toronto home Game 5. It's tough. When you're a technical director of a television network, ESPN, TNT, and they score the 4th goal, the 5th goal, the 6th goal. Do you feel like it says anything about the person that you are when all you do is say, all right, time for cutaways of fans. Another one. Another one. Again. One more.
Again. He's Herb Brooks.
Give me 5 more. Again. Another fan. Oh, I got one crying. Him. Get this woman. Give me the kid. Give me the 2 kids. Give me the guys that look like their father and son that are... It's just a parade of sad faces. And On one level, if you're a Buffalo sports fan, you're probably looking at that and thinking, ha, love it. And on the other hand, maybe you have a feeling of, man, I just hate it when I feel like that because I have felt like that at a game. Your head's in your hands.
Yeah.
Usually, and you might as well put your head in your hands and just think, I hope the camera doesn't put me on television. The crying kid meme from the NCAA tournament. You go to a game now, you sign up to potentially be your emotions on display.
I have a buddy who's a St. Bonaventure fan, diehard. He went there, and we for years have had this still shot of him on NBC Sports Network after something happened, and he's got his hands on his heads with his head down because something terrible has just happened to the Bonnies. A lot in the chat, like these are different though than what the Leafs endured last night. Like Cowboys Monday Night Football.
No, there's nothing on the line except holy cow, can you believe they lost a game in which they picked the guy off 5 times?
Game 6 in '99 against the Stars. Even that though it's different because
it's a close game.
That is the game itself is dramatic and maybe even good. It's the moment at the end that stinks.
Right.
This for Toronto last night was the whole thing stunk.
Shot attempts at one point in the first period were 20-4.
That's unbelievable.
You did not show up.
That's unbelievable.
That's what I'm getting at. We've all been to heartbreaking games.
Right, this is
not heartbreaking.
This is you're mad the whole game.
Right. This is you pull up your credit card statement, you're like, I paid how much to sit here for this?
Yeah.
$2,500 to sit in the upper deck for this?
Might be the Bengal game.
Bengal game.
Bengal playoff game.
Yeah. 803-0550 our phone number. Extendo Sports coming up in the Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show here on WGR. On the schedule, maybe you remember things we've said, maybe you don't remember things we've said. I remember one thing I've said a lot about the Bills and where they live right now, which is I said I want the life the Steelers used to have, not the football team, but the life. And the life was you're in all these big games all the time. And the Bills have taken that life. Opening the season at home against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
As the game of the week, one of them for sure. I mean, Eagles-Cowboys is decent. Chargers-Chiefs is pretty good. But Ravens-Bills, they're giving you game of the week status in week 1.
Yeah.
The last 2 MVPs, and then primetime week 3, primetime week 5, 425s all up and down the schedule. It's a little bit about the timing. Really what it is how many times is the country going to tune in and say, man, I can't wait to watch this game. And that is the life of the Bills right now.
I think it is definitively the best game of week 1.
Probably.
There's not many that can really top it, but it's better in terms of being a matchup.
Two teams.
Better than Cowboys and Eagles. It's better than Chiefs and Eagles. It's certainly better than Vikings and Bears. The 425 game is Lions and Packers. That might be the one that comes closest.
That's pretty good, yeah. The Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm not with Howard that they are done.
I couldn't tell if he was being serious, that they're no longer the gold standard. They, of course, have been the team in the AFC for a long time, and the Bills have trouble getting over them. Everybody's moving up and down. Call each team its own little stock market, if you will. And for me, we could see a third year of this for the Chiefs, where they're not exactly at their peak, at their best. But what they've been the last 2 years is weakened versions of what they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
They built a better defense, and their offense became okay, not great.
Mid.
Not as good as the Bills offensively, but
Correct.
Still finding ways. And they drafted an offensive lineman, and they added to their trenches. I mean, offensive line, defensive line in the first 3 picks of the draft. They had a receiver to a group that they've been trying to overhaul. Kelsey's back for another year. Kelsey went from looking shot in December to being a contributor once again. So, I definitely don't think the Chiefs are done. Can the Bills beat them in the regular season? Sure. Can they beat them in the playoffs? Sure. I might be more worried about Baltimore than I am Kansas City, but that might be stupid too.
I would agree with that. That I would be more worried right now. Well, it depends. I guess it's tough. It is tough to say that because of the playoff history between the two, and that the Chiefs. They have this knowledge about what works against the Bills, and I do think they look different in playoff meetings than they do in the regular season, and I'm not sure the Bills do in totality the same. My reasoning for thinking that the Chiefs will be down this year compared to previous years is just I don't think their fatal flaws are fixed. That maybe the rookie comes in, Simmons, and is able to make a giant difference on that line. But they moved Joe Thuney out, who was great at guard, average at tackle when they had to put him there because they had nobody else. The guy they signed, Jalen Moore, has 12 career starts, and none of his grading looks good on it. Nobody says he's like a star player at the position.
So, all right.
Look how far up the fairway is on this hole.
So this is 15. This is the one where, full disclosure, when we're playing Quail Hollow at the Sim, we try to DeChambeau this. The landing spot, that's in the water, right? Somebody's in the water.
That was Rory.
That was Rory. He hooked it left. And
he's not far enough left. I think he's in the rough.
Anyway, sometimes you call it.
Maybe he is in the water.
I think he's in the water. I think he hit it in the water on the left. Sometimes you call this playing Golden Tee, or I like to call it playing it DeChambeau style. If there's no internal out of bounds, on this hole, 15 at Quail Hollow, the landing spot down the first shot is narrow. So what do I want to do? Turn left and just hit it dead straight left over the water onto another hole's fairway because there's a lot bigger landing zone, and then turn and fire back to the green the other way. So it's kind of like instead of going dog leg left, see where they are?
Yeah.
I like to make this dog leg right. Just way up on the left side because you can carry the water and you don't have to worry about the water on the left side.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been how I played the simulator Quail Hollow number 15 for all of you that are very invested. People will be begging for schedule talk again. All right. PGA Championship.
Go Rory. Rooting for Rory.
Yeah, he's not off to a great start.
No.
And it's not because of his mental game. He's just hitting bad shots. He 3-putted on the second hole he played for a bogey. And looks like he just put one in the water. Scheffler, true or false? Scheffler is wearing the colors he's wearing to commemorate being put in, like, what do they call them when you go to jail?
Oh, the mugshot?
They put him in an orange jumpsuit.
They did.
He's wearing orange a year later.
Wow, I wonder if he's doing that on purpose.
He's wearing jumpsuit orange?
He might be. I haven't seen, what's Jason Day got going on this week?
Good question.
Malbon, right? Jason Day is wearing nothing special.
Wearing nothing? Whoa, wow. That's going to get some
nothing
ratings.
special.
Okay.
I guess today looks a little interesting. Saturday as well. He's got some stripes going on, going visor. Looks like he's wearing sweatpants on Saturday almost.
Tomorrow, Dave Buchanan on the Bandits. He'll join us.
Finals game 1 is tomorrow. Stinks that the Warriors are out of the NBA playoffs, by the way.
Yes, it does.
Steph never got back.
Yes, it does.
So really, from the NBA's perspective, I mean, they are praying that the Knicks, I think, or the Celtics, if they were to make it through, will be in the finals. Because I would bet the league is terrified of like a Pacers-Timberwolves finals. I would like it. I'm liking these playoffs a lot. I don't think that really draws in, though, the whole country. Pacers and Timberwolves, or Pacers and Thunder even. A lot of small market teams going.
Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show is coming up. Enjoy your beautiful Thursday.